Chapter 14:10. He slapped the two ladies to the ground. The faces of the two women who were beaten revealed a look of horror. For a moment, the two ladies didn't dare to stand up. When the others saw the situation, they quickly left. They could only hope that young Master Lu wouldn't vent his anger on them. Young Master Lu had black hair and black eyes, and he wasn't a native of the Divine Wood Federation. However, young Master Lu was someone that no one in Oak City dared to provoke. The Deep Frost Trade Association was backed by the Lu family. This fat youth might not be a direct descendant of the Lu family, but he was the study companion of the Lu family's young master. He was highly valued by the Lu family's young master. Even the vice president of the Deep Frost Trade Association's Oak City branch had to be courteous to this fat youth. Such a person wasn't someone that small fries like them could afford to provoke. The fat youth's eyes were filled with ferocity as he looked in the direction that Lin Yuan and the others had left. The two of you, hurry up and get up to gather people. I want to see who has the guts to do this. He actually dared to hit me, Lu Kuan, for an insect-type carcinoma fey. The two ladies quickly got up and started to gather people according to the fat youth's instructions. In order to satisfy the fat youth, the two maidservants called Oak City's Deep Frost Trade Association's vice president, Song Dingzhen. They asked Song Dingzhen to send an expert from the Deep Frost Trade Association to help Lu Kuan. The request of the two women made Song Dingzhen, who was on the other end of the phone, frown tightly. However, due to Lu Kuan's status, Song Dingzhen still sent an expert from the Deep Frost Trade Association and a small team of guards. Song Dingzhen couldn't help but let out a soft sigh after hanging up. She then fiddled with the dozens of walnuts in front of her. These object storage walnuts were only of bronze and silver normal quality. The only use of a walnut of this level and quality was to be used by caravans to carry goods. At this moment, a man wearing a black uniform beside Song Dingzhen said, "Vice President, did young Master Lu cause trouble again?" "Vice President, did young Master Lu Kuan cause trouble again?" "Vice President, did young Master Lu cause trouble again?" The cooperation with the Li Origin Trade Association has been finalized. Lu Kuan is here to sign the cooperation agreement. After signing the agreement, Lu Kuan will leave Oak City in the next 2 days. Now that he has needs, I will satisfy them all. Correct answer, Lu Kuan. I'll be able to sit more securely in Oak City. Hearing Song Dingzhen's words, the man in the black uniform couldn't help but twitch his mouth. It had only been a week since young Master Lu Kuan arrived at Oak City. But because of young Master Lu Kuan, more than 100 people had died. There were also many guests of the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce among them. This would have a very bad effect on the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. Li Origin Chamber of Commerce, which cooperated with Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce, had already voiced their opinions many times. However, when he thought about what Song Dingzhen had done over the years, the man in the black uniform felt that Song Dingzhen was no better than Lu Kuan. It might even be worse. Seeing that Song Dingzhen was checking the contents of the walnuts, the man in black uniform asked, "Mr. Vice President, are we still going to keep these object-holding walnuts and get rid of that small caravan?" After saying that, the man made a throat-slitting gesture. Song Dingzhen asked with great interest, "You said that the caravan was a low-ranked caravan called the Chang'e caravan?" The man in black quickly replied, "This Chang'e caravan is indeed the lowest-ranked caravan in our Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. The entire caravan has close to 100 people, and only the captain has a gold fey. He runs the border between Oak City and the Iron Hammer Federation all year round. I don't know what kind of luck the Chang'e caravan had this time. They actually managed to exchange so many things at the border of the Iron Hammer Federation. Although the best beast hide inside the object-holding walnuts is only silver, the quality of these beast hides is too good. There aren't any flaws at all. There are those ores, and many of them are quite expensive in the Iron Hammer Federation. I've estimated that it's worth around 1 million deep Brahmin coins. The Chang'e caravan's captain brought these object-holding walnuts to me and wanted to exchange some fine wine and spirit herbs from the Chamber of Commerce. I think they are preparing to go to the Iron Hammer Federation to make a fortune. This caravan must have encountered some fortuitous encounter. The entire caravan is beaming with joy. According to the old rules, I will bring these things for you to take a look. A playful smile appeared on Song Dingzhen's face when she heard this. He, beaming with joy. Don't the Chang'e caravan's people know that fortuitous encounters can change owners? Since it is a small caravan, just send them away as usual. I will give you 10% of the benefits inside. Go and do your work. Upon hearing Song Dingzhen's words, the black-clothed man quickly bowed and replied, Thank you for your appreciation, Vice President. Recently, there have been more and more caravans wanting to rely on the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. Our Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce can't handle so many caravans. Now that our Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce has a cooperative relationship with the Lee Origin Chamber of Commerce, do you want to introduce these caravan resources to the Lee Origin Chamber of Commerce? The skinny Song Dingzhen let out a cold snort. How can the caravan be full? Just pick some fat ones and digest them. Go, continue to promote our Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. There will be zero handling fees for the caravans that rely on the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce to exchange for resources. Each round trip will be given a subsidy of 2,000 metal coins. After speaking, Song Dingzhen waved her hand. She then picked up the wine pot on the table, poured a cup of wine, and sipped it calmly. Lin Yuan had been following the dark parasite butterfly for about 15 minutes. Lin Yuan realized that it had flown to the edge of Oak City. The people living at the edge of Oak City were mostly ordinary people at the bottom of society and some refugees who had nowhere else to go. Order was very chaotic, and a series of vicious incidents would often occur. At that moment, the young girl beside Lin Yuan, who had flown into the sky for the first time with a face full of amazement, suddenly said, That's right. Big brother, why did you fly to Little Flower's place? Xiao Hua's house is just around the corner. Big brother, look, that fruit shop is selling rotten fruits that have been hoarded in the city for a few days. When Xiao Hua and little brother are hungry, they will take a metal coin and go to the fruit shop to buy some fruit. Buy 5 pounds of rotten fruit. Cut off the rotten part, and there will still be 2 to 3 pounds left. It's very sweet. At the mention of food, Xiao Hua's round eyes curved up. This smile was very pure, and it contained a longing for the future. There wasn't even a trace of pain. Upon seeing Xiao Hua's innocent smile, Lin Yuan couldn't help but sigh. Back in the Xia region, he had brought Chu Xi along to survive alone. He had never experienced such a bitter life. End of this chapter. Chapter 1411. After leaving the Radiance Federation, Lin Yuan had truly seen how the dark side of the main world was full of devastation. The next time he returned to the Radiance Federation, the Warm Sun Fund should be able to operate. Lin Yuan could help Xiao Hua when he met her, but he could not help everyone in the abandoned city under his feet. Lin Yuan hoped that after the Warm Sun Fund operated, at least the Radiance Federation would not have such a situation again. A ray of warm sunlight shone on the dust-covered man. It should give the dusty people the courage to part with the clouds and see the light together. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan was about to take out 2 spirit fruits from the diamond face storage box for Xiao Hua to eat. However, Liu Jie had already taken out a string of gold and handed it to Xiao Hua. When Xiao Hua saw the gold, she was a little timid at first. However, after Liu Jie revealed a warm smile, Xiao Hua was infected by his smile. After thanking Liu Jie, he took the gold tea from Liu Jie. Lin Yuan recalled that when he had first met Liu Jie, it was the darkest moment of Liu Jie's life. At that time, there was no light in Liu Jie's eyes. Even so, Liu Jie still supported many orphans. He even bought education funds for those orphans. Liu Jie should like children very much. Suddenly, Lin Yuan saw the yin parasite butterfly, which had been flying rapidly, slow down. The yin parasite butterfly folded its wings and landed like a withered leaf in a dilapidated straw house. Looking in the direction the yin parasite butterfly landed, Xiao Hua exclaimed, "Big brother, that's Xiao Hua's home." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan's pupils constricted. Could the target of the young parasite butterfly's host be Xiao Hua's younger brother? If that was the case, it would explain why Xiao Hua had gone to buy the inflammation-reducing grass. The host of the young parasite butterfly's insect nest would fester and become inflamed. This was in line with the inflammation-reducing grass's healing range. However, the inflammation-reducing grass was destined to not be able to heal the host of the young parasite butterfly. After the inflammation-reducing grass's medicinal properties stimulated the young parasite butterfly, it would cause it to go crazy. It would also accelerate the festering of the body. Xiao Hua, who had not figured out the situation, saw Lin Yuan turn his head. He asked himself in an abnormally serious tone, "Xiao Hua, when did you notice that your younger brother's body started to have inflammation?" Xiao Hua thought for a while and said, "4 days ago, Xiao Cao got a big bump on her arm. I took Xiao Cao to ask Uncle Niu. Uncle Niu said that it was nothing and that it was just a boil. I believed Uncle Ox's words, so I took Xiao Cao home. However, on the second day, Xiao Cao's arm began to swell up, and pus and blood slowly flowed out. At night, Xiao Cao passed out. At that time, Xiao Hua wanted to take out all his money to buy an inflammation-reducing grass. On the morning of the third day, my little brother woke up, but after he woke up, he did not like to talk." Xiao Hua was seriously recalling and telling Lin Yuan the contents of the memories. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan and Liu Jie's expressions changed. It was almost certain that Xiao Hua's younger brother, Xiao Cao, was the host of the young parasitic butterfly. Xiao Hua's younger brother, Xiao Cao, had his memories and thoughts stolen by the young parasite butterfly on the second night. On the third day, when Xiao Hua woke up, the person in front of him was no longer his younger brother, Xiao Cao. Instead, it was the young Ji chaos butterfly that could be called the fifth natural disaster. Fortunately, Xiao Hua was not a male. Otherwise, on the morning of the third day, Little Blossom had already been parasitized by the young parasitic butterfly. As soon as the shady parasite butterfly entered the house, before Lin Yuan and the others could land on the ground, the shady parasite butterfly suddenly appeared. The tightly shut door of the hut was suddenly opened from the inside. A 6 or 7-year-old boy ran out of the room. On the little boy's left shoulder was a black gold butterfly flapping its wings. This black and gold butterfly was the yin parasite butterfly that had just landed in the room. Xiao Hua saw the little boy and quickly called out, "Xiao Cao, when older sister left, didn't I tell you not to leave the room? Why did you come out? Go back quickly. Big sister found a big brother who is a healer. He can help you heal the wounds on your body." As Xiao Hua spoke, he prepared to run over and hug the little boy. At that moment, the yin butterfly on the little boy's fingertip flew towards Xiao Hua like a sharp sword. Before the black and gold yin parasite butterfly could get close to Little Flower's body suddenly exploded. The 20 bronze hurricane owlet moths that had brought them here had already stirred up a gale and formed a wind prison. They controlled the yin parasite butterfly, which was only at the elite grade. Seeing that the yin parasite butterfly was being controlled, the little boy's face revealed a fierce expression. He quickly strode toward Lin Yuan, Liu Jie, and Ji Feng. At such a time, Lin Yuan and the others naturally could not let the little boy get close to them. Once the little boy got close, Lin Yuan and the others would not be able to escape the fate of being parasitized by the young parasite butterfly. Lin Yuan stood there quietly, and a quicksand whirlpool appeared under the little boy's feet. The little boy's legs immediately sank into the quicksand whirlpool. Then, a pair of palms formed from yellow sand appeared in the quicksand whirlpool. The palm formed by the yellow sand held the young man firmly in its palm. The close guard sand then boiled and formed a sand mist. It prevented the little boy from using some special means to get close to Lin Yuan and the others. If the yin parasite butterfly wanted to increase its grade, it could absorb spirit qi in the natural world. The other method was through parasitizing hosts. The more hosts it parasitized, the higher the yin parasite butterfly's grade and quality. At present, this young parasite butterfly had just finished parasitizing and only controlled the little boy. Its strength was the same as the yin parasite butterflies, both were elite. It could not break the sand prison formed by the source sand. Little Blossom was stunned by the sudden change in the situation. It looked at its little brother, who was held in the palm of yellow sand, and then at its big brother, who had just given it delicious spirit fruits and wanted to treat its little brother. The little flower instinctively pulled away from Lin Yuan and Liu Jie, wanting to run to its little brother's side to protect him. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan hurriedly pulled the little flower back. He explained the current situation clearly to the little flower. After understanding the situation, the little flower's lips were still tightly pursed. It stared straight at the little boy. Lin Yuan's heart was now abnormally conflicted. The easiest way to make the young parasitic butterfly appear was to destroy its nest. However, Lin Yuan was not willing to do so. This pair of siblings had too many of his and Chu Xi's shadows. Lin Yuan had thought more than once that if Chu Xi had been parasitized by the yin parasite butterfly a few years ago, what would he have done? Even if he had to become enemies with the whole world, he would not have let anyone hurt Chu Xi. Even if Chu Xi had been parasitized by the yin parasite butterfly and become the source of a natural disaster, at this moment, the little flower's thoughts were probably the same as his. End of this chapter. Chapter 1412. Lin Yuan lowered his head and looked into Xiao Hua's eyes. He could see the stubbornness in them. When he thought about how the yin-yang chaos butterfly parasitized its host, Lin Yuan turned to Liu Jie. Big brother Liu, your insect queen can control insect-type carcinoma phase. Do you have a way to let the insect queen suppress the yin-yang chaos butterfly? I just need half an hour. Upon hearing this, Liu Jie immediately communicated with the insect queen. After some communication, Liu Jie said, the insect queen can suppress the insect-type carcinoma phase. The yin-yang chaos butterfly will steal the host's thoughts and memories, which is the same as absorbing the host's spiritual energy. After the yin-yang chaos butterfly parasitizes its host, it will steal the host's thoughts and memories, which is the same as absorbing the host's spiritual energy. If the yin-yang chaos butterfly parasitizes 2 children, I will use the rainbow angelfish's fish coat to replenish it. It should be able to hold on for half an hour. Based on Lin Yuan's question, Liu Jie had already guessed Lin Yuan's plan. However, this method was too risky. However, it was undeniable that this was undoubtedly the best ending for the little girl and the little boy. After hearing Liu Jie's affirmative answer, Lin Yuan asked Jifeng. Jifeng, can your water lotus plant a soul seed in the soul and ensure that it can repair the soul when cracks appear repeatedly? I just need half an hour. Jifeng replied confidently. If it's against these 2 children, I don't even need to summon the water lotus back. I can just use the soul seed. 1 soul seed is enough for these 2 children's souls to last for a day, let alone half an hour. Upon hearing Jifeng's statement, Lin Yuan nodded. If the insect queen could guarantee that it could suppress the yin-yang chaos butterfly, Jifeng could guarantee that Xiao Hua and Xiao Hua's souls would not dissipate. Lin Yuan was also confident that he could use the jasmine lily's heel and severed limbs while the yin-yang chaos butterfly was wreaking havoc on Xiao Hua and Xiao Hua's bodies. Even if their bodies were constantly destroyed, they would still be able to regenerate according to their genetic model. These 3 prerequisites were the foundation of what Lin Yuan was going to do next. Lin Yuan looked at Xiao Hua, who was pursing her lips and saying nothing. I know that in your world, your little brother is the only one. But your little brother is currently being controlled by an insect-type carcinoma Fey. Even if I have a way to extract that insect-type carcinoma Fey from your little brother's body, I will not be able to do so. The instant that insect-type carcinoma Fey leaves your little brother's body will be the moment he dies. Every time Lin Yuan said a word, Xiao Hua's eyes dimmed a little. Suddenly, Lin Yuan changed the topic. But it's not like there's no way at all. It's just that this method requires you to bear the risk. If this method succeeds, you and your brother will survive. But if this method fails, both you and your brother will die. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Xiao Hua grabbed Lin Yuan's sleeve and begged while shaking it. Big brother, little flower is willing. Please save Xiao Cao. Hearing Xiao Hua's words, the 20 bronze hurricane owlet moths that trapped the yin parasite butterfly suddenly dispersed. The yin parasite butterfly that was out of control went straight into Xiao Hua's body from the back of his neck. Xiao Hua, who had just been parasitized by the yin parasite butterfly, was still conscious. At that moment, a quicksand vortex appeared under Xiao Hua's feet. Xiao Hua was also grabbed by a palm made of sand. Lin Yuan instructed Xiao Hua. Your little brother will wake up in a while. If you can endure the pain in your soul, you can try to encourage your little brother. After speaking, Lin Yuan nodded at Liu Jie and Ji Feng. Liu Jie snapped his fingers, and a fairy with long dark purple hair, dark green insect armor, and 2 pairs of dragonfly-like wings flew out of the dimensional light moth's body. This fairy was the Insect Queen. After fusing with the Blade Queen Bee's spiritual toxin, the mutated Insect Queen looked very different from before. However, even though the Insect Queen was wearing an insect armor, it was still very shy and afraid of meeting strangers. The Insect Queen's personality was really hard to imagine. It was a war machine that could casually produce insect swarms. Liu Jie spoke to the Insect Queen in a serious tone. Insect Queen, try your best to suppress the yin-yang parasite butterfly in these 2 children's bodies. Use the spiritual toxin to reduce the yin-yang parasite butterfly's mobility. Hearing Liu Jie's order, the Insect Queen flapped its wings and flew toward Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao. The Insect Queen extended its left hand toward Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao. At this moment, the Insect Queen's left index finger suddenly turned dark purple. The Insect Queen poked this dark purple finger into Xiao Hua's neck and Xiao Cao's right arm. Then, the Insect Queen's eyes turned silver. A wave of spiritual energy with a special rhythm rushed toward Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao. This wave of spiritual energy did not target Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao. Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao's bodies were like a filter, and the spiritual energy flowed into their bodies like water. It triggered the spiritual toxin that the Insect Queen injected into Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao's bodies. They pounced towards the yin and yang butterflies that were hiding in Little Flower and Little Grass's bodies. It tried its best to suppress the yin-yang parasite butterfly and Xiao Cao. However, the Insect Queen's suppression also caused the yin-yang parasite butterfly to fiercely resist. Especially the yin-yang parasite butterfly that had just entered Xiao Hua's body, it was the first to be caught by the Insect Queen's spiritual energy. Xiao Hua's body in the giant yellow sand palm began to tremble like a sieve. The lump on Xiao Hua's neck spread in Xiao Hua's body. Many ulcers quickly appeared on Xiao Hua's body, and pus and blood kept flowing out of the ulcers. This was the yin-yang parasite butterfly's action to resist the Insect Queen's suppression and quickly transform Xiao Hua's body into an insect nest. However, under the Insect Queen's suppression, the yin-yang parasite butterfly's movements became slower and slower. Ji Feng saw the right time and planted a water lily soul seed in Little Flower's soul. It nourished Little Flower's soul. There was still no movement on Xiao Cao's side. This meant that the Insect Queen had not found the yin-yang parasite butterfly hidden in Xiao Cao's body. Xiao Cao's body had been transformed into an insect nest, and it wanted to capture the yin-yang parasite butterfly in the insect nest. It needed some time and patience. As the yin-yang parasite butterfly had just entered Xiao Hua's body, everything was still under control. However, it was difficult for Xiao Cao. In the insect nest, the yin-yang parasite butterfly that stole Xiao Cao's spiritual energy was enough to fight against the Insect Queen's spiritual energy. Even with the help of the Insect Queen's spiritual toxin, it needed some time to fight. Lin Yuan summoned the jasmine lily and let the bud of mountain jade on the head of the jasmine lily's crystal-like main flower use its ability to heal Xiao Cao. Upon receiving Lin Yuan's command, the bud of mountain jade on the crystal-like main flower bloomed. A green pillar of light shot out from the bud of mountain jade and landed on Xiao Cao's body. It formed a link that transmitted vitality. Chapter 14:13. The wounds and pustules on Xiao Cao's body rapidly recovered under the jasmine lily's healing. At that moment, the Insect Queen's spiritual energy grabbed the young parasite butterfly. The young parasite butterfly started to wreak havoc in Xiao Cao's body. The eggs produced by the young parasite butterfly broke open in large numbers and turned into young parasite worms. These young parasite worms were the reason why the young parasite butterfly was able to infect other male targets. A large number of young parasite worms drilled into Xiao Cao's skin, causing widespread infection and ulceration. However, as soon as the wounds appeared, they were immediately healed by the bud of mountain jade. The young parasite worms had drilled into Xiao Cao's organs more than once. The vitality released by the bud of mountain jade triggered Xiao Cao's genetic model through its exclusive skill, severance. It allowed Xiao Cao's organs to rapidly regenerate. During this cycle, the young parasite butterfly was affected by the insect queen's spiritual toxin, and its spiritual energy was gradually suppressed. Only then was Xiao Cao's consciousness released. The moment Xiao Cao regained her consciousness, Ji Feng planted a soul seed in her. Ji Feng could only use the soul seed on Xiao Cao when she regained her consciousness. Otherwise, the soul seed would be planted on the young parasite butterfly's soul. Once the soul seed was given, it could not be retrieved before the energy was depleted. Ji Feng would not allow his mistake to affect the rescue mission. After Xiao Cao regained her senses, she burst into tears. The pain of her body being damaged and repaired had already injured her soul. It was all thanks to the nourishment of this soul seed. Otherwise, Xiao Cao, who had just regained consciousness, would have immediately fainted. Xiao Cao, whose soul was being repaired by the soul seed, saw Xiao Hua at the side and stretched out her trembling hand. It was as though she had seen a baby swallow that she could rely on. Xiao Hua, who Xiao Cao relied on, was just a 13 or 14-year-old girl. When Xiao Hua saw that Xiao Cao had regained consciousness, it endured the pain and wanted to explain the situation to Xiao Cao. Whether it was Xiao Cao or Xiao Hua, they were about to enter the most dangerous moment. This was the young parasite butterfly's dying counterattack. Xiao Hua did not have enough time to explain the situation to Xiao Cao, but Lin Yuan was already prepared. He said to Genius, "Genius, use the interconnected tail. Use the interconnected tail." When Genius heard Lin Yuan, it waved its tail, and it immediately turned into a lustrous white illusory link. The silvery white illusory link separated itself from Genius' body and connected the grass and flower. The thoughts and memories of Little Blossom and Little Grass were instantly connected. Just as Xiao Cao and Xiao Hua let out a miserable shriek, Lin Yuan quickly got Genius to withdraw from the interconnected tails. He used the interconnecting tail to connect Xiao Cao and Xiao Hua. Although the two of them could encourage each other through the interconnecting tail, however, the two of them could also feel each other's pain through the tail of connection. The pain was unbearable. The stimulation brought by the two types of pain was something the souls of two young children could not bear. Once the damage to his soul was too great, even the soul seed released by a peak emperor stage expert like Ji Feng would be of no help. The yin parasite butterflies and young parasite butterflies were making their final struggle under the insect queen's suppression. The psychic toxin made the yang and yin chaos butterflies feel the aura of death. In the final struggle of their lives, Xiao Cao and Xiao Hua's bodies broke down one after another. It actually made the jasmine lily feel a little pressured. This was because the yin-yang chaos worms in Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao's bodies had hatched in the tens of thousands. As soon as the jasmine lily stopped its treatment, Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao would instantly explode like balloons. To be safe, Ji Feng released another soul seed for Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao's souls. As time passed, Liu Jie's expression became more and more pained. Cold sweat seeped out of his forehead. Normally, the insect queen could easily suppress one insect-type carcinoma Fey at a time. Liu Jie had never tried to suppress two insect-type carcinoma Feys at the same time. Although these two insect-type carcinoma Feys came from the same source, they still had two sets of spiritual energy and soul. Furthermore, one of the insect-type carcinoma Feys had stolen the spiritual energy of a 6-year-old child. Liu Jie took out dozens of fish coats from the diamond Fey storage box and distributed them to the insect queen. He kept 2 or 3 fish coats for himself and quickly ate them. Through the digestion of the fish coats, he replenished his spiritual energy. Just as he felt that the yin-yang chaos butterflies in Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao's bodies were about to lose their lives, the two yin-yang chaos butterflies condensed their soul power and collided with Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao's souls. Lin Yuan originally thought that the two soul powers would only affect Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao's souls. Then, they would be healed by the two soul seeds. However, what surprised Lin Yuan was that these two soul shocks had penetrated into Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao's souls. A portion of the soul powers then slowly fused with Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao's souls. The moment the soul fusion was completed, the yin-yang chaos butterfly's souls were immediately healed by the soul seeds. At the same time, The yin-yang chaos butterflies no longer destroyed Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao's bodies. After the yin-yang chaos butterflies destroyed the previously produced yin-yang chaos worms, they emerged from Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao's bodies. Due to the insect queen's attacks, the two elite yin-yang chaos butterflies didn't dare to fly. They nested on Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao's bodies and flapped their wings in fear. This change stunned Lin Yuan, Liu Jie, and Ji Feng. A guess appeared in the minds of Lin Yuan, Liu Jie, and Ji Feng. Could the yin-yang chaos butterflies' souls have fused with Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao's souls? Did they become Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao's phase? Soon, Lin Yuan and the other two's guess was confirmed. When Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao recovered and opened their eyes, the two yin-yang chaos butterflies flapped their wings and danced around Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao, emitting an instinctive intimacy. Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao also fused with a portion of the yin-yang chaos butterflies' souls. They had an instinctive affection for these two yin-yang chaos butterflies that had just hurt them. Lin Yuan's giant palm that was holding Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao slowly turned into quicksand and let Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao land on the ground. Xiao Hua landed on the ground and immediately flew toward Xiao Cao. She hugged Xiao Cao tightly in her arms. Xiao Cao stretched out her arms toward Xiao Hua, looking forward to Xiao Hua's hug. However, as soon as Xiao Cao was in Xiao Hua's arms, she immediately let out a cry and groaned in pain. Xiao Hua quickly took off her hemp clothes and hugged Xiao Cao again. Then, she hugged Xiao Cao again. To Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao, everything that had just happened was like a new lease of life. Xiao Hua hugged Xiao Cao for a full 3 minutes before he suddenly remembered something. He hastily pulled Xiao Cao to her feet and brought her before Lin Yuan, Liu Jie, and Ji Feng as he spoke gratefully. "Thank you, big brother, for saving Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao. Thank you, big brother." End of this chapter. Chapter 14:14. Xiao Cao also mimicked Xiao Hua's behavior and said gratefully, "Thank you, big brothers." While thanking them, Xiao Hua suddenly had a thought. Compared to continuing to live here, it would be great if it could stay by big brother's side. However, thinking of its situation and identity, Xiao Hua could not say such words. Xiao Hua was afraid that it would be rejected if it said it. At that moment, Xiao Hua saw the big brother in front of her smile that made people feel especially warm. He placed his palms on the top of his and Xiao Cao's heads and gently rubbed them. Lin Yuan looked at Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao's clothes that were so tattered that they could not cover their bodies. He wanted to get 2 sets of spirit chi clothes for Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao to change into. However, no matter how many spirit chi clothes there were in Lin Yuan's diamond face storage box, there were no children's clothes. Lin Yuan took out a platinum blue brocade fox's skin and 2 bolts of silk satin. He sewed them simply. Lin Yuan, who had helped Chu Ci survive, still knew some simple needlework. Lin Yuan and Chu Ci did not have many clothes in total. Due to the circumstances of life, even if the clothes were broken, they did not have the money to buy new ones. Lin Yuan could only sew and patch them up before putting them on. In a moment, Lin Yuan made 2 sets of small white clothes. Lin Yuan split the platinum blue brocade fox's skin into 2 and simply sewed it into 2 fox fur cloaks. As the first young master of the Whale Ocean Trading Company, Ji Feng knew nothing about needlework. However, Liu Jie squatted down and joined in with ease. He took the 2 sets of spirit chi clothes that Lin Yuan had just sewn and changed the coarse-looking needle corners. In a short while, the 2 sets of spirit chi clothes became exquisite under Liu Jie's modification. Lin Yuan looked at Liu Jie, who was sewing clothes. He did not expect Liu Jie to do other than cooking. He was also so talented in this area. Without Wen Yu, Liu Jie would probably be the housekeeper of Return from Faraway Mansion. Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao were not stupid. They sewed the clothes according to the size of Lin Yuan and Liu Jie's clothes. They easily guessed that these 2 sets of spirit chi clothes were sewn for them. Xiao Cao was still fine, as she had been carefully taken care of by Xiao Hua. There was always a harbor to rely on even if one suffered. However, for as long as Xiao Hua could remember, he was beaten up by his alcoholic father. He has been responsible for all the work of the family since he was a child. He had to think of a way to find wine for his father. After that, His father went out and never came back. To Xiao Hua, it was a kind of relief. Now that there was one less person to eat at home, Xiao Hua brought her little brother to eat even more than before. Hence, Xiao Hua had never experienced what it felt like to be cared for by others. Little Flower had never received any clothes made for him before. Moreover, these two big brothers were the materials to make clothes. It was even better than the clothes of the noble ladies and young masters in the city center. This caused Xiao Hua to feel terrified. If it was possible, Xiao Hua would rather not have this set of clothes. Instead, she chose to live a hard life with her younger brother by her big brother's side. Xiao Hua was afraid that she and her brother would be left here after obtaining the two sets of spirit chi clothing. While Lin Yuan was creating the spirit chi clothing, he had been observing the two yin-yang chaotic butterflies. Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao ignored the two yin-yang chaotic butterflies, but the two yin-yang chaotic butterflies kept landing on them. Lin Yuan asked as he handed one set of clothes to Xiao Hua and the other to Xiao Cao. "Can the two of you control these two butterflies?" Xiao Hua turned around and looked at the black gold yin-yang chaotic butterflies. "Big brother, Xiao Hua can control this black gold yin-yang chaotic butterfly. He can do anything." Xiao Cao nodded and looked at the white gold yin-yang chaotic butterfly on her fingertip. This white gold yin-yang chaotic butterfly is also very obedient to Xiao Cao. Lin Yuan looked at Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao with a complicated gaze. Liu Jie's insect queen could control insect-type carcinoma phase because of an unexpected mutation. It was an ability that couldn't be replicated. Lin Yuan didn't dare to say that the water lily's ability, Soul Seed, and his jasmine lily's exclusive skill were unique. However, Lin Yuan had never met anyone else with such an ability. It could be said that the combination of these three unique abilities created a miracle. It created a fifth calamity switch that had thoughts and flesh. As long as Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao willed it, the calamity would descend. What was more terrifying was that Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao could blend into the crowd and become the perfect protective umbrella for the yin-yang chaotic butterfly. The spirit guards classified the fifth calamity phase as a fifth calamity, and they didn't just affect the origin world. There were also male and female life forms in the dimensional world. When Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao arrived in the dimensional world, they could still bring about a calamity that belonged to the origin world but was transferred to the dimensional world. Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao could now be defined as a pair of destructive strategic weapons. In such a situation, Lin Yuan had to instill the correct outlook on life and values into Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao. Lin Yuan looked at Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao's conflicted expression as they held the spirit chi clothes. "My clothes and this big brother's clothes are slightly inferior. If you want to stay by my side, there will be a big sister who will make clothes for you in the future. The clothes that big brother and I are wearing are made by that big sister." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Xiao Hua looked up at him. The expression on her face perfectly portrayed the process of a flower budding to blossoming. At this moment, the surprise in the girl's eyes seemed to have suddenly lit up the world. Xiao Hua said as she held Xiao Cao's hand. "Xiao Hua is willing to bring Xiao Cao to stay by Big Brother's side, but Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao are dirty. If we wear Big Brother's clothes, we will dirty Big Brother's clothes." Lin Yuan could use Bai Lan to wash Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao. However, it was obviously not appropriate to do so. Lin Yuan stretched out his hand and ruffled Xiao Hua's hair. "Don't worry, put them on first. Don't worry if they get dirty. When we go back, I will make a clean one for Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Xiao Hua happily brought Xiao Cao back to the straw hut to change their clothes. Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao had just finished changing their clothes. Although there was still a lot of dirt on their faces, they looked much better than before. At the very least, they were no longer in a sorry state. Lin Yuan took out 2 towels and poured some water for Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao to wipe them. After wiping them, Lin Yuan realized that Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao looked very good. In their big eyes, there was a quick-wittedness that couldn't be hidden. However, there were more or less some scars on their bodies. These were the scars left by a difficult life. I wish everyone a happy New Year's Eve. Hehe, the earliest blessing. End of this chapter. Chapter 14-15. However, these scars and the calluses on Xiao Hua's hands were not impossible to remove. Just half a bowl of silver stamen gold luster cassia nectar would do. Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao did not have the talent to become spirit qi professionals and were just ordinary people. Being able to contract the yin-yang chaotic butterfly was just a miracle caused by a combination of factors. Therefore, neither of them had a spiritual space. Lin Yuan gave Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao a pendant-shaped diamond face storage box each. It hung on Flowery and Xiao Cao's necks. He then asked Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao to store the yin-yang chaotic butterfly into their respective diamond face storage boxes. Just as Lin Yuan was about to leave with Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao, an arrogant and ear-piercing voice echoed nearby. "It's you bastards who beat me, Lu Kuan. You, yes, I'm talking to you. Hand over the cat with 8 tails in your arms. I, Lu Kuan, might be able to let you die with dignity." However, these scars and the calluses on Xiao Hua's hands were not impossible to remove. Just half a bowl of silver stamen gold luster cassia nectar would do. Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao did not have the talent to become spirit qi professionals and were just ordinary people. Being able to contract the yin-yang chaotic butterfly was just a miracle caused by a combination of factors. Therefore, neither of them had a spiritual space. Lin Yuan gave Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao a pendant-shaped diamond face storage box each. It hung on Flowery and Xiao Cao's necks. He then asked Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao to store the yin-yang chaotic butterfly into their respective diamond face storage boxes. Just as Lin Yuan was about to leave with Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao, suddenly, a group of spirit qi professionals in black uniforms ran over. When these spirit qi professionals saw Lin Yuan and the others, they immediately summoned their fays. Xiao Hua's thatched hut was at the edge of the abandoned city, and there were no houses further away. Therefore, this group of people must have come here for them. At first, Lin Yuan thought these people were members of the bandits. However, when he saw their fays, it was obvious that they were not as simple as the bandits. Gold 7 flawless saber-toothed fierce cat. Platinum I flawless poison powder calamus. Platinum 2 flawless dark corrosion ghost face fly. This kind of fey equipment was obviously not something that a member of the bandits could possess. This small group of fays had the ability to destroy the entire Nanmu city. In Oak City, these people could be called elites. Lin Yuan was rather curious about their identities. Could it be that these people were here for the yin parasite butterfly? Carcinoma fays weren't taboo in the Divine Wood Federation, and an elite insect species carcinoma fey wouldn't be able to attract so many experts. Or did someone recognize the yin parasite butterfly? In this regard, Lin Yuan felt that it was unlikely. The Divine Wood Federation did not have a star network, so its knowledge reserves were worrying. The Radiance Federation's Class 2 and Class 3 Creation Masters had the ability to concoct all the Class 2 and Class 3 spirit liquids. However, the Divine Wood Federation's Class 2 and Class 3 Creation Masters had limited knowledge. As for the 2-star and 3-star spiritual liquids that he had concocted, only he knew the formulas for them. Although the Divine Wood Federation and the Radiance Federation's Creation Masters' abilities were comparable, their standards could not be compared at all. Even the president of the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce couldn't recognize the yin parasite butterfly. It was even more impossible for a passerby to recognize the gloomy parasite when they saw it on the streets. If someone really recognized the yin parasite butterfly, they would have to face this calamity class insect species carcinoma fey. The Class 4 Creation Master clans that didn't report to Oak City's main affairs would send out their strongest experts. It was truly a child's play. Upon seeing these people, Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao instinctively curled up their bodies. Upon seeing the situation, Lin Yuan and Liu Jie pulled Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao over. They blocked the two of them behind them. Liu Jie asked Lin Yuan, what should we do with these people? Lin Yuan shook his head at Liu Jie. Lin Yuan planned to observe quietly and see what exactly these people were here for. After seeing Lin Yuan shake his head, Liu Jie didn't let the insect queen return to the dimensional light moth stomach to produce a large batch of flesh-mincing blade insects. Upon seeing Lin Yuan shake his head, Liu Jie did not let the insect queen return to the dimensional light moth's belly and produce a large number of flesh-mincing blade insects. Ji Feng stepped forward and stood in front of Liu Jie and Lin Yuan. At that moment, a total of 40 spirit chi professionals wearing black uniforms suddenly spread out to both sides. At that moment, a total of 40 spirit chi professionals wearing black uniforms suddenly spread out to both sides. Lin Yuan saw an open-air carriage that was pulled by 4 platinum patrol wildebeests. Lin Yuan saw an open-air carriage pulled by 4 platinum patrol wildebeests, and a fat man was sitting on it. The fatty was looking at Lin Yuan with resentment. There were 2 young and beautiful ladies sitting on each side of the fatty. The 2 women each held a tray in their hands. One of the trays had a wine flask and wine cups, while the other had roasted meat and spirit fruits. They were waiting for the fatty to use them. Lin Yuan revealed a doubtful expression. He didn't have any impression of this fatty. Just as Lin Yuan was pondering, an arrogant and ear-piercing voice echoed from the fatty's mouth. "It's you bastards who beat me, Lu Kuan. You, yes, I'm talking to you. Hand over the cat with 8 tails in your arms. I, Lu Kuan, might be able to let you die with dignity." Upon hearing the fatty's words, Lin Yuan immediately knew that this fatty must have been on the street. He had wanted to capture the yin parasite butterfly but had been hit by Genius Tail. This fatty had spent so much effort to come here, and it was obvious that he was trying to get back at them. Furthermore, from the fatty's words, he wanted to snatch Genius away. Then, he would kill all of them. When the fatty saw that Lin Yuan didn't reply immediately, he thought that Lin Yuan was afraid. He spoke with an even more arrogant tone. "Why? Are you afraid? It's useless to be afraid. If you dare to beat me, I, Lu Kuan, will go to hell." As Lu Kuan spoke, the old man standing beside him had an incredulous look on his face. The elder could sense that the 8-tailed white cat in the black-clothed youth's arms was actually a diamond fantasy breed fae. What kind of behavior is this? How could he bring a diamond fantasy breed pet with him? Lu Kuan had probably kicked an iron plate. Fortunately, he was a pinnacle king-class expert, and his main fae, the ancient tree dragon centipede, could easily kill this 8-tailed cat that had just become a diamond fantasy breed. However, was this 8-tailed white cat really the strongest among the black-clothed youths group? Lin Yuan looked at the arrogant Lu Kuan and asked in a calm tone. "Those who want to kill will always be killed. I believe you understand this logic." When Lu Kuan heard Lin Yuan's words, his expression became even more arrogant. It also made the elder's heart tremble. This black-clothed youth was simply too calm. It wasn't just this black-clothed youth. Even the youth and the middle-aged man beside him didn't put Lu Kuan's group in their eyes. Just as the elder was about to remind Lu Kuan was already cursing at Lin Yuan. End of this chapter. Chapter 1416. Your grandpa Lu is a member of the Lu family. The entire Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce is the property of the Lu family. In Oak City, your grandpa Lu can cover the sky with one hand. If I, your grandpa Lu, want to kill you, no one can save you. Lu Kuan addressed Lin Yuan as Grandpa Lu 3 times in a row, and it made Lin Yuan rather annoyed. In Lu Kuan's eyes, he had already regarded them as dead people. Lin Yuan turned his head and said to Ji Feng, who was beside him, "Ji Feng, I'll leave it to you. With little blossom and little grass here, the scene will be cleaner." Ji Feng nodded and summoned the Karma Sword Orchid with a wave of his hand. Lu Kuan's group saw a white-haired man appear out of thin air. The white-haired man's eyes were grey, and his pupils were black and white. The white-haired man's appearance was clearly not that of a normal human. A guess appeared in the heart of the old man beside Lu Kuan, and the old man could not help but exclaim, "Young Master Lu Kuan, this is a myth too fey. There is an Emperor Realm Master among them." As soon as the old man finished speaking, he heard a cold snort. "You are wrong. You don't even have the eyesight to see that I am a plant species fey. How foolish." As the Karma Sword Orchid swung its sword, a sword rain formed by the interweaving power of karma swept through the entire world. A moment later, the rain of swords dissipated. It was as if the group of people that had come to find trouble had never appeared in front of him. It was as if he had never heard of Lu Kuan before. Under the sword reign of the Karma Sword Orchid, everything was reduced to dust, including the treacherous ground. After the Karma Sword Orchid was done, it came to Lin Yuan's side and bowed. "Sir, according to your orders, it's already clean enough." Lin Yuan had helped the Karma Sword Orchid break through to Myth 3. Thus, the Karma Sword Orchid respected Lin Yuan very much. The Karma Sword Orchid was a support-type Fae, and it wouldn't have any chance to fight normally. The Karma Sword Orchid finally experienced the thrill of battle when it faced an enemy that was more than a rank weaker than it. The Karma Sword Lily thought to itself, "If Ling Lian was here right now, she would probably worship me." Lu Kuan had just revealed that he was from the Lu family. The Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce was also the property of the Lu family. Then this Lu family should be a hidden noble family of the Deep Brahmin Federation. However, based on Lu Kuan's style and attire, Lin Yuan could not see any noble demeanor. It seemed that Lu Kuan was not a direct descendant of the Lu family. It could be said that Lu Kuan's death had caused a feud between Lin Yuan and the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. The group beside Lu Kuan and the Peak King Stage Elder hadn't been with Lu Kuan when they had been on the street. Otherwise, when Lu Kuan was being attacked by Genius, the old man at the peak of the King Stage would definitely intervene. That pinnacle King-class expert and these black-uniformed Spirit Chi professionals must be the people of Oak City's Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. If these people did not return after so long, the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce would soon notice that something was wrong. Previously, he had planned to establish a relationship with the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce through the Sincere Yi Caravan. As they invested in the Sincerity Caravan, the Sincerity Caravan's status in the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce rose bit by bit. It would be convenient for him to exchange for resources from the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce in the future. As long as he did not have any contact with the Sincere Yi Caravan on the surface, it would not affect the Sincere Yi Caravan. However, Lu Kuan's actions and the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's members seeking revenge had allowed Lin Yuan to see the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's evil roots. This allowed Lin Yuan to see the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's bad roots and feel that the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce was not a good partner. Lin Yuan planned to give the Sincerity Caravan's Mr. Zhao a call. He wanted to see if Mr. Zhao had brought the Sincerity Caravan to Oak City. At that moment, in the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's Treehouse Hotel, Mr. Zhao was holding a baby with a gloomy face and letting the baby grab his beard. He did not tell the baby the story of the big tiger as usual. The middle-aged man beside Mr. Zhao asked with a frown, "Dad, our caravan's object holding walnuts with resources have been taken away by the steward. There has been no response even after 1.5 days. Could there be a problem?" Caravans had always been a business where blood flowed from the edge. After a few caravan trips, they would inevitably encounter attacks from the bandits. Therefore, there were no naive people in the caravan. Mr. Zhao had long realized that something was wrong. Mr. Zhao took a deep breath and looked at the middle-aged man beside him. "Jiaji, help me hold Dudu first. Let's go downstairs and ask all the caravan members to gather outside the treehouse. Let's go find the steward and ask if our resources have been exchanged for wine and spirit herbs." Although the old man said so, he increasingly felt that something was wrong. Under normal circumstances, the steward should have finished counting the Sincerity Caravan's resources within 1 to 2 hours. Then, he would have prepared all the resources that the Sincerity Caravan had requested. It would not have taken more than a day. There were many caravans that were stronger than the Sincerity Caravan in the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. However, no matter how many resources these caravans had, it would take at least 1 to 2 hours, and at most 3 to 4 hours to complete the exchange. He thought of the person in the cloak who usually did not speak. Only then did Mr. Zhao feel a trace of calmness in his heart. Mr. Zhao still remembered that Lin Yuan had said that this person could guarantee the Sincerity Caravan's safety. When the Sincerity Caravan members gathered under the treehouse, Mr. Zhao deliberately walked to the figure in the cloak and carefully explained the situation to the figure. However, Mr. Zhao did not get any response at all. If this figure was not able to move, Mr. Zhao would have almost thought that this figure was a fake person. As early as a few months ago, news had spread in Oak City that many caravans backed by the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce had disappeared without a trace. However, this was just a rumor. Mr. Zhao did not care much about this. Now that he thought about it, those missing caravans seemed to have made a fortune before they disappeared. Thinking of this, Mr. Zhao felt a chill in his heart. It made Mr. Zhao shiver involuntarily. However, Mr. Zhao obviously could not say this to the other members of the Sincerity Caravan. This was because it would only cause chaos in the caravan. It would not solve any problems. If he took this thought seriously and ran away, it would be the same as wasting all the resources that Lin Yuan had given to the Sincerity Caravan. Lin Yuan was the Sincerity Caravan's benefactor, and he had given it hope and the capital to rise. No matter what, Mr. Zhao did not want to let Lin Yuan down. Mr. Zhao forced himself to calm down and led the 100 members of the Sincerity Caravan to the entrance of the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. As a result, Mr. Zhao realized that the attendants guarding the entrance of the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce did not stop them like usual. End of this chapter. Chapter 14:17. They told him that only 2 members could enter at most to handle the business. Now, these 2 attendants actually allowed everyone from the Sincere Caravan to enter. Mr. Zhao suddenly felt something was wrong. He felt that his guess just now was very likely to be the truth of the matter. Mr. Zhao brought the Sincere Caravan members to the manager's office room with apprehension. In the end, the person in the room told him that the manager wasn't here. The staff in the manager's office led the Sincere Caravan members to the 8th floor of the Tree Fortress. They walked toward the innermost corridor of the 8th floor. The Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's 8th floor didn't have any goods displayed. Mr. Zhao had never come up here before. Along the way, Mr. Zhao realized that there wasn't a single person inside. The surrounding walls were pasted with iron plates, and the iron plates were embedded with a layer of sound isolation gold. This didn't look like a place where the manager would come to work. Just as Mr. Zhao was about to stop the Sincere Caravan members and ask for an explanation, the attendant leading the way released a dark green toad with lumps all over its body. The appearance of this dark green toad made Mr. Zhao and the others feel suffocated. The Platinum Fantasy Breed phase aura pressed down on everyone in the Sincere Caravan without reservation. The attendant who was leading the way revealed a playful smile to the members of the Chang'e Caravan. It was like a wild cat seeing a trembling mouse in front of it. Mr. Zhao looked at the attendant who summoned the dark green toad and pretended to be calm. "What are you trying to do? Bring me to the manager. Our Sincere Caravan is about to set off." Upon hearing Mr. Zhao's words, the attendant brought the dark green toad in front of Mr. Zhao. "The manager saw that your Sincere Caravan has made a fortune and knows that your previous trip must have been tough. He specially asked me to send your Sincere Caravan members to my spiny tongue-toad stomach to have a good rest." At this point, the attendant's tone changed. He coldly gave an order to the spiny tongue-toad. "Spiny tongue-toad, swallow them all." Just as Mr. Zhao thought that he and the others were about to die, the figure that was originally covered in a cloak and didn't have much presence suddenly raised his palm. At the same time, a shrill croak rang out. Mr. Zhao saw that the dark green frog's body was ignited with bright red flames. Under the light of the fire was a dark red substance that flowed like magma. This layer of dark red magma-like substance instantly burned the spiny tongue-toad into ashes. Then, a dark red magma-like substance flowed onto the waiter's body. The waiter followed in the footsteps of the spiny tongue-toad. The flames didn't disappear after burning the spiny tongue-toad and the servant, but instead spread out in all directions. In an instant, Oak City's Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's nearly 400-meter-tall tree fortress became a blazing fire tree. Originally, Mr. Zhao thought that he was about to be swallowed by this dark green giant toad. The other members of the Sincerity Merchant Group would also be slaughtered in the narrow corridor of the 8th level of the Deep Frost Merchant Group's tree fortress. After confirming the truth, Mr. Zhao felt an indescribable anger, grievance, and self-blame. If he had thought of that possibility and come to the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce alone to investigate the situation, he told Zhao Jiaji in advance that if he couldn't get through to him, he immediately led the Sincerity Caravan away from Oak City. Perhaps, the other members of the Sincerity Merchant Group wouldn't have to die. Along the way from the Iron Hammer Federation's border to Oak City, Mr. Zhao had envisioned the future countless times. He thought that he could show off his abilities and let the Sincerity Merchant Group have a good development. At the same time, he wouldn't let down Lin Yuan's expectations. He could even let his grandson, Zhao Dudu, contract a Fey that wasn't bronze normal or elite. Instead, he could consider a bronze flawless Fey, which was something he didn't dare to think about before. Who would have thought that the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce, which the Sincerity Merchant Group relied on, was actually a giant mouth hidden in the darkness? In order to collect resources, they were engaged in the business of silencing the merchant group. However, in the face of a behemoth like the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce, they had no room to resist. It could be said that Mr. Zhao had never encountered a platinum fantasy breed Fey before. Mr. Zhao didn't think that the people that Lin Yuan had sent to him would be of use under such a strong enemy's attack. After all, Lin Yuan's silver-armored servant's combat strength was only comparable to the servant in front of him. In fact, when Han Tianhe had made a move, Lin Yuan had already known about the situation here through Red Thorn. Han Tianhe's sudden attack had been incited by Lin Yuan. The Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's Tree Fortress was one of the taller buildings in Oak City. It was only 50 meters lower than the Class 4 Creation Master family's Tree Fortress that was in charge of Oak City. The burning Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's Tree Fortress was in the eyes of almost everyone in Oak City. No one in Oak City would have thought that the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's headquarters, which usually represented wealth and power, would actually burn. It was actually burning. In the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's 400-meter-tall Tree Fortress, apart from the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's headquarters, there were also people who came to purchase goods. There were also customers who came to purchase goods and caravan members who came to exchange goods. These people had no feud with Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan didn't need to involve these people. Therefore, this fire only caused the Tree Fortress to burn. If Han Tianhe summoned the geocentric dragon's nail and released the world power that belonged to a creation breed Fey, the entire Oak City would become a withered tree burning under the flowing magma in the hands of the geocentric dragon's nail. Mr. Zhao, Zhao Jiaji, and everyone in the Sincere Yi caravan were flabbergasted as they looked at the raised palm under the cloak. A ball of flames had extinguished the king-class expert's figure. They were so shocked that they couldn't even say a word. At that moment, several angry voices exploded in the Tree Fortress. Who has the guts to actually set the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's Tree Fortress on fire? God damn it, quickly put out the fire. Pay attention, don't let those precious furs burn. Even if you have to use your body, you have to protect these precious furs. Immediately after, a chill suddenly surged out from the Tree Fortress. This chill gradually extinguished the Tree Fortress's flames. After experiencing heat and cold, the Tree Fortress started to carbonize. A large portion of the carbonized Tree Fortress was about to collapse. The customers and caravan members in the Tree Fortress hurriedly fled out of the Tree Fortress in panic. As for the person who had just released the flames to set the Tree Fortress on fire, he followed behind the Sincere Yi caravan as though nothing had happened. He fled out of the Tree Fortress together with the Sincere Yi caravan. This was because Red Thorn had received Lin Yuan's order, which was why it didn't let Han Tianhe, who was controlled by the tongue of relinquish, continue to make a move. At that moment, Lin Yuan, Liu Jie, and Ji Feng were rushing towards the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's Tree Fortress with Xiao Cao and Xiao Hua. End of this chapter. Chapter 1418. Lu Kuan had led the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's main force to kill Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan only placed the blame on Lu Kuan and did not vent his anger on the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. Now, the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce wanted to silence the entire Sincere Yi caravan because of the lack of resources. It was tantamount to scheming against Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan had previously made a living by opening a Fey store. Although they were doing a different business from the caravan members, the logic was the same. Compared to him, these caravan members always had their heads on their waistbands. They were using their lives to earn hard-earned money. Moreover, these caravans would be especially reliant on those large merchant associations. If a large merchant group wanted to do something behind their backs, these small caravans wouldn't have the power to resist. During the process of opening the Fey store, Lin Yuan had also been troubled by the suppliers. When he had been weak, He had experienced the feeling of not even having the capital to resist. The Deep Frost caravan could attack their subordinate caravans for a few 100,000 deep Brahmin coins worth of resources. It was enough to show how despicable and evil Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce was. He thought about how Red Thorn had lured the members of the Sincere Yi caravan to the 8th floor based on Han Tianha's perception of the attendant. It was likely that before the Sincere Yi caravan, many caravans had already fallen at the hands of the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. Such a Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce was rotten to the core. In Lin Yuan's opinion, there was no need for the Deep Frost Trade Association to continue existing. As soon as Lin Yuan left the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce, Li Wan, the president of the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce, had a thoughtful expression on her face. Li Wan took the pair of bronze epic walnuts that she had gotten from Lin Yuan and gently played with them. Logically speaking, this pair of walnuts should solve the urgent problem of the Shengfan auction house. Such a finale item was enough to raise the reputation of the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce to another level. But Li Wan did not feel very happy at this time. She placed all of her attention on Lin Yuan. She was thinking about why Lin Yuan had immediately left the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce when he had seen that black gold butterfly-like carcinoma Fei. When he had left, he hadn't even left behind his phone number. The only thing that could make Li Wan feel at ease was that Lin Yuan still had a deposit of more than 10 million deep Brahmin dollars. With these deposits, Lin Yuan would definitely return to the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce. Suddenly, Li Wan, who had been deep in thought, felt her throat burn and she started to cough violently. As Li Wan coughed furiously, a fishy sweetness entered her mouth. It sprayed on the table, making the table a mess. The old man standing next to Li Wan saw this and hurriedly handed a cloth to Li Wan. Li Wan's violent coughing did not stop because she had spat out a mouthful of blood. After coughing for nearly 2 minutes, Li Wan put her hand on her chest and stopped. She took the old man's handkerchief and gently wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth. The old man said worriedly to Li Wan as he cleaned the table, "Miss, with your body's condition, you really shouldn't work so hard day and night. If there's anything, just leave it to me. Let me do it. If you continue coughing like this, even though you have the medicine left behind by the old chief, once your condition worsens, those medicines won't last long." Li Wan's expression did not change when she heard the old man's words. "I know my body very well. My spirit chi professional rank is about to break through to B rank. When I become a B rank spirit chi professional, my body's overall quality will increase, and this cough should be less severe. When that time comes, I can reduce the dosage of medicine, and I can at least last for another dozen years. In these dozen years, I have to turn the tide and lead the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce out of its decline and establish a firm foothold. I have to nurture an outstanding successor so that I can live up to father's expectations." Speaking up to here, Li Guan restrained all the emotions in her eyes and changed the topic. "Let's not talk about this first. Elder Duan, go and contact the few Class 2 and Class 3 creation master clans that are cooperating with our Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce. Send out the orders that young Master Lin needs. I would rather we add more money and compete with the other chambers of commerce. We also have to strive to prepare those 120 pots of spirit herbs that can produce chi phenomena within a month." Upon hearing this, the old man quickly replied, "Miss, I'll definitely handle this matter beautifully." Through the contact between Li Wan and Lin Yuan, the old man could see that Li Wan wanted to reach a long-term cooperation with Lin Yuan. Li Wan herself might even have some other plans. In addition, Lin Yuan could casually take out a bronze epic object storing walnut, which allowed the old man to see Lin Yuan's strength and foundation. Therefore, there was no need for Li Wan to instruct him. Lin Yuan's orders had already become the top priority in the old man's heart. The old man thought of Li Wan's hard work of supporting the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce alone and said softly, "Miss, do you think young Master Lin can become a partner of our Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce?" The old man's words caused Li Wan's eyes to suddenly look up. Li Wan's eyes revealed a tempted expression. However, Li Wan did not respond to the old man's words and changed the topic. The Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce and the Lee Origin Chamber of Commerce. Before Lee Wn could finish speaking, she saw a huge tree fortress burning in the distance outside the window. This scene stunned Lee Wan and the old man at the same time. Immediately, Lee Wan and the old man revealed joy on their faces. Lee Wan recognized that burning tree fortress. It was the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's headquarters in Oak City. Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce and Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce were competitors. The Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce and Lee Origin Chamber of Commerce had joined hands, intending to eradicate the other chambers of commerce in Oak City. This caused the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce and the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce to not only have a competitive relationship, but also an undisguised hatred. No matter what the reason was, Lee Wan was happy that her enemies were in trouble. Lee Wn stood up and spoke to the old man beside her. "Let's go, old Duan. Let's go to the scene and see what's going on. Let's see what kind of person Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce has provoked." There were elites overseeing the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce, so even if something unexpected happened, they would not be able to escape. It was also impossible to cause the entire tree castle to burn. Therefore, to be able to make Deep Frost Commerce's tree fortress burn, it must be an enemy of Deep Frost Commerce. As a partner of the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce, the people from the Lee Origin Chamber of Commerce would definitely be present when the tree fortress of the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce was destroyed. Lee Wan also wanted to see Lee Origin Merchant Association's attitude towards Deep Frost Merchant Association. At this time, the clouds in Oak City were moving. 2 experts flew out from the Class 4 Creation Master Clan that was in charge of Oak City, in the direction of the fire in the Deep Frost Merchant Association's tree fortress. A large number of people poured out of the Lee Yuan Chamber of Commerce's tree fortress in the southwest. The leader was an ordinary-looking youth dressed in green clothes. This youth had a grave expression as he looked at the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's burning tree fortress. He was thinking about what exactly happened to the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. In Oak City, who exactly could cause the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's tree fortress to burn? End of this chapter. Chapter 14:19. At this time, a middle-aged woman came to the green-robed youth's side and said respectfully, "Young Master Zhuangbei, the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce must have encountered a huge problem. How many people do you think we should bring?" The green-clothed youth looked at the middle-aged woman and said, "You are the vice president of the Lee Source Chamber of Commerce. You can allocate the manpower. No matter what reason the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce has, the experts of our Lee Source Chamber of Commerce do not need to interfere in this matter. If something really happens to the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce, I can return to the clan with the agreement and have the elders of the clan negotiate with the Lu family." The middle-aged woman thought to herself. Young Master Zhuangbei and young Master Lu Kuan quarreled when they were signing the cooperation agreement. It seemed like young Master Zhuangbei was still angry. Moreover, according to young Master Zhuangbei's words, if something really happened to the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce, because of Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's own reasons, they were unable to cooperate with Lee Origin Chamber of Commerce in Oak City. He also planned to report this to his family and demand an explanation from the Lu family behind the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. Although the vice president of the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce, Song Dingzhen, loved money, she did not seem to be the type to cause trouble. He didn't know what kind of disaster the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce had encountered that even the tree fortress was burning. Apart from the Class 4 Creation Master Clans, the Lee Source Chamber of Commerce, and the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce. Oak City's 3 Class 3 Creation Master Clans, 17 Class 2 Creation Master Clans, close to 300 Class 1 Creation Master Clans, and various caravans were all heading towards the Deep Frost Trade Association's tree fortress. The Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's tree fortress became the eye of the storm in Oak City. After the people inside the tree fortress had all escaped, Song Dingzhen had originally wanted to let the guards of the Deep Frost Merchant Guild use the vines of the Iron Vine to secure the tree fortress. However, he had never thought that the tree castle would be severely damaged by the fire. The tree castle, which had been carbonized by the cold, directly collapsed into a pile of coke. Ash splattered all over the ground, choking everyone so much that they couldn't open their eyes. Looking at the mess in front of her, Song Dingzhen shouted angrily, Who set fire to my Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's tree fortress? Come out. Killing intent shot out from Song Dingzhen's eyes. Song Dingzhen was the vice president appointed by the Liu family in Oak City's Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. Now that the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's tree fortress was burning, Song Dingzhen would inevitably be punished. If Lu Kuan was in the tree fortress at this time, he could bear the responsibility together with him. But Lu Kuan wasn't here, so there was no way to push the blame onto him. He had to bear all of this responsibility himself. However, Song Dingzhen simply could not bear such a responsibility. The three elders beside Song Dingzhen immediately released their fays. A huge wolf with scarlet fur let out a piercing howl. A plantain plant had taken root on the street. As its leaves fluttered, they formed tornadoes one after another. A ladybug with a 7-star mark on its body flapped its wings and let out a deafening roar. The yellow substance that flowed out of the ladybug's tail had already caused many people to vomit. These three fays were all diamond fantasy breeds. The diamond fantasy breed fays pressure pressed down on everyone in the surroundings indiscriminately. Many of the onlookers felt as if a huge rock was pressing down on their chests, making it hard for them to breathe. Some of the more timid ordinary people even fainted from fright. No matter how Song Dingzhen called out, no one answered. Lil P, who was being protected in Zhao Jiaji's arms, suddenly cried loudly. The baby's cries immediately attracted Song Dingzhen's attention. At that moment, a middle-aged man wearing a black uniform ran to Song Dingzhen's side with a slight change in expression. He pointed at the Sincere Yi caravan and softly whispered in Song Dingzhen's ear. Then, Song Dingzhen's expression became strange. Song Dingzhen looked at the black-clothed manager and did not understand why he did not send anyone to attack the Sincere Yi caravan. At that moment, the manager was constantly searching the crowd for the king-class expert that he had sent. However, the manager realized that he could not find the king-class expert at all. Even the Sincere Yi caravan's people had run out, but the king-class expert that he had sent was nowhere to be seen. This made the manager's hair stand on end. Just as the manager was about to explain the situation to Song Dingzhen, an unfriendly voice echoed. What's going on with the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce? Why did the base suddenly burn? Hearing this voice, Song Dingzhen turned around. Song Dingzhen hurriedly went up to greet them when she saw them. It turns out to be the two Ding Daren. Song Dingzhen is here to greet you. I'm also investigating the cause of the tree fortress's burning, but I don't have any leads yet. Song Dingzhen felt extremely disgusted. If she knew why the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's tree fortress was burning, she wouldn't be able to do anything about it. If that was the case, he would have stopped it long ago. How could they allow the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's tree fortress to burn? However, Oak City belonged to the Ding family, and the Ding family was the only Class 4 creation master clan in Oak City. He had unparalleled authority in Oak City. Even young Master Lu Kuan didn't dare to be impudent in front of the Ding clan. Once they provoked the Ding family would not allow the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce to continue opening a branch in Oak City. Even if someone from the Lu family came to plead, it would be useless. Song Dingzhen had thought that he would be able to find the culprit behind the fire and have a big fight. But who would have thought that no one would make a sound? At this moment, the people from the Li Source Chamber of Commerce arrived. The green-clothed youth didn't speak, but the middle-aged woman understood the green-clothed youth's intention and asked Song Dingzhen. President Song, the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce has just signed a cooperation agreement with our Li Source Chamber of Commerce, and they have already created such a mess. Our Li Source Chamber of Commerce needs your Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce to give us an explanation. Song Dingzhen hurriedly responded. Our Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce will investigate the cause of the tree fortress's fire and immediately rebuild it. Our cooperation with the Li Source Chamber of Commerce will not be affected. Hearing Song Dingzhen's words, the green-clothed youth who was leading the Li Source Chamber of Commerce spoke in an unfriendly tone. You make it sound so simple. If even the base is burning, how can your Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce still have any prestige in Oak City? I request that the Li Source Chamber of Commerce take the lead in the signed agreement, and the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce will cooperate. Hearing the green-clothed youth's words, Song Dingzhen frowned even more. Song Dingzhen thought to herself. It would be great if Lu Kuan was back. Only Lu Kuan could compete with Zhuang Bei. Zhuang Bei was a member of the Zhuang family, which was a member of the Lu family who did not share the same surname. Facing Zhuang Bei's accusation, Song Dingzhen was prepared to stall for time until Lu Kuan returned. Song Dingzhen's gaze swept across the customers and members of the caravan who had just escaped from the tree fortress. Since no one has admitted to it, then all of you will have to take responsibility for the burning of our Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's tree fortress. End of chapter. Chapter 1420. After Mr. Zhao escaped from the tree fortress, his eyes had been on the figure shrouded in a cloak. Mr. Zhao had never seen such a grand gathering of Oak City's nobles. Mr. Zhao felt that his legs were a little weak. However, since the figure under the cloak didn't say anything, Mr. Zhao didn't dare to rashly admit the matter. The person that Lin Yuan had sent to protect the Sincere Yi caravan could kill a platinum fantasy breed Fae. However, he might not be able to defeat a diamond fantasy breed Fae. Moreover, the Class 4 Creation Master Ding family of Oak City had an Emperor-class expert. An Emperor-class expert was a legendary figure. Seeing that no one said anything, Song Dingzhen immediately gave a fierce order. The three of you, kill all the people that escaped from the tree fortress. Just as the three King-class experts heard the order and were about to command the Fae to take action, a clear voice came from the crowd. I was the one who burned the tree fortress. But I think your Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's people should be able to guess why this tree fortress was burning. This statement caused the pupils of the onlookers to shrink. It could be said that this statement was out of everyone's expectations. Even Oak City's Class 4 Creation Master Clan, the Ding Clan, had sent 2 experts over. They all thought that the matter would end with Song Dingzhen executing the people that escaped from the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. After all, someone had to take the blame for the destruction of the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's tree fortress. These customers and members of the caravan that escaped from the tree fortress were undoubtedly the best scapegoats. The 2 experts from the Ding family tacitly agreed to this behavior. Although there were a few minor nobles among the customers that escaped from the tree houses, they didn't have any power. Thus, it didn't matter if they died. Unexpectedly, someone actually took the initiative to take the blame for this disaster. Was the person who said that stupid? Didn't the person who spoke know that he had agreed to it in front of everyone? It was the same as taking the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's hatred. Was there really someone who wasn't afraid of the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's 3 sinister diamond fantasy breed Faes? From the meaning of the words, it seemed like there was an inside story of the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's destruction that outsiders didn't know. After hearing this voice, apart from Song Dingzhen, Li Wan had the greatest reaction. Because Li Wan was very familiar with this voice. This voice belonged to young Master Lin who had just left the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce not long ago. As Li Wan worried for Lin Yuan, she secretly rejoiced. Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce and Flourishing Chamber of Commerce were enemies, and could no longer return the favor. If Lin Yuan became mortal enemies with the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce, no matter if he formed an alliance with the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce or not, the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce would not be able to survive. They were all standing on the same side. Song Dingzhen had nowhere to vent her anger. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's voice, Song Dingzhen immediately scolded loudly. The person who just spoke. Get out of the crowd. Let me see what ability you have to burn down the tree fortress of my Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. The moment Lin Yuan spoke, the onlookers around him hurriedly distanced themselves from him. He was afraid that if he stood too close to Lin Yuan, he would be mistaken as one of them and get into trouble. As Lin Yuan moved forward, the crowd automatically made way for him. Lin Yuan carried Genius with his left hand and Xiao Hua with his right. The dimensional light moth flew on Liu Jie's right and Xiao Cao on his left. On the other hand, Ji Feng walked in front of Lin Yuan and Liu Jie, opening a path for them. Everyone's eyes fell on Lin Yuan and his group. They were secretly shocked by the bearing and appearance of Lin Yuan and his group. However, in many people's eyes, Lin Yuan and his group of 5 were soon dead. In terms of appearance, apart from the 2 children, this group of people had black hair and black eyes. They were definitely people of the Deep Lush Federation. If they were local nobles from the Divine Wood Federation, it would be fine if they went against the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. How could someone from the Deep Lush Federation dare to start a conflict with the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce? Could it be that this group of people was not aware of the hidden Tyrant Lu family's power in the Deep Lush Federation? The three king-class experts behind Song Dingjin immediately used their diamond fantasy breed phase. They flew toward Lin Yuan and his group. They were prepared to kill Lin Yuan and his group to restore the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's reputation. At that moment, the dimensional light moth flying above Liu Jie's head flapped its wings. Under the flapping of the dimensional light moth's wings, circles of spatial ripples were formed in mid-air. These spatial ripples oscillated around rhythmically. All of a sudden, over a dozen insect squads consisting of 10 Diamond V Fantasy Eye flesh-mincing blade insects appeared around the venue. They surrounded the three king-class experts' Diamond Fantasy breed phase. Then, a feast of the insect swarm began. As soon as over a dozen squads of flesh-mincing blade insects appeared, they immediately rushed toward the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's 3-diamond fantasy breed phase. Soon, 7 or 8 palm-sized flesh-mincing blade insects crawled onto the scarlet-furred giant wolf. These flesh-mincing blade insects crawled onto the giant wolf's body, and their 8 legs quickly stirred. The giant wolf immediately let out a panicked howl. Soon, the giant wolf's fur was cut open by the flesh-mincing blade insects' insect limbs. These flesh-mincing blade insects drilled into the blood-colored giant wolf's body through the opening. This scene made everyone's scalp tingle. More and more flesh-mincing blade insects crawled onto the giant wolf's body and drilled into its body through the wound. They started to dismember this blood-colored giant wolf. The giant wolf struggled on the ground and howled miserably, but it was still to no avail. This diamond fantasy breed giant wolf was originally a blood-type fae that used its physical body as a means of combat. Now that a large number of flesh-mincing blade insects had suddenly closed in, the giant wolf had no ability to resist at all. This was because the giant wolf had no way to drive out the flesh-mincing blade insects that had drilled into its body. However, the plant fae that could create a tornado with a wave of its leaves could rely on the violent wind to block the flesh-mincing blade insects. The ladybug with the 7-star mark on its back flew in the air, leaving the flesh-mincing blade insects helpless. As a land-type insect fae, the flesh-mincing blade insects could not attack units in the air. Instead, 7 or 8 flesh-mincing blade insects were burned through by the yellow sticky substance sprayed from the ladybug's tail sheath. The dimensional lamp moths were still flapping their wings, and the surrounding dimensional fluctuations were getting more intense. At that moment, 5 Diamond X Fantasy 3 Hurricane Owlet moths flew out of the cracked space. The grade and quality of the 5 Hurricane Owlet moths were higher than the plant fae that could control the violent wind with its leaves. The 5 Hurricane Owlet moths controlled the violent wind and controlled it to form wind blades that slashed at this tall diamond fantasy breed fae. They controlled the violent wind to form chains to control the ladybug fae that was attacking the flesh-mincing blade insects. Without the protection of the violent wind, a large number of flesh-mincing blade insects quickly climbed onto this plant fae. End of this chapter. Chapter 1421. Wood shavings were peeled off the plant fae's body. Finally, this fae was forcefully crushed by the insect limbs, leaving only the tree core. Before the ladybug fae was struck down by the hurricane owlet moth. A Diamond X Fantasy V Lightning Gathering Moth and a Diamond X Fantasy V Plasma Caterpillar came out of the dimensional fluctuation. The Plasma Caterpillar spat out dazzling bright purple plasma. The Lightning Gathering Moth condensed the bright purple plasma and shot out a dark purple plasma beam. This plasma beam penetrated the ladybug fae flying in the air and burned it into charcoal like the tree fortress. During the process of Liu Jie attacking the Deep Frost Trade Association's 3-diamond fantasy breed phase, the people from the Lee Source Trade Association and the 2 experts from the Ding family just watched coldly from the sidelines. They did not have any intention of helping. This battle, in which hundreds of diamond fantasy breed insect species phase had been mobilized, made everyone look at Lin Yuan and the others with fear. Lin Yuan walked straight toward the Sincere Yi Caravan's group. Looking at the horrified Song Dingjin, Lin Yuan said, "I think the Deep Frost Trade Association should be willing to calm down and talk to me now. I think the Deep Frost Trade Association should be willing to calm down and talk to me now. I wonder how much ill-gotten wealth your Deep Frost Trade Association has earned from killing caravans over the years. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Song Dingzhen's expression suddenly changed. It also made the surrounding people look at the Deep Frost Trade Association's people with complicated gazes. The Deep Frost Trade Association could be said to be the chamber of commerce that provided the best benefits to caravans among all the chambers of commerce in Oak City, whether it was free food and lodging or the provision of 2,000 metal coins. It made some small caravans very grateful to the Deep Frost Trade Association. However, in recent years, the news of the disappearance of Oak City's caravans had never stopped. Moreover, a lot of evidence pointed to the disappearance of these caravans, which was inseparable from the Deep Frost Trade Association. However, due to the Deep Frost Trade Association's power, any guesses could only be said behind their backs. No one dared to openly say such baseless guesses and offend the Deep Frost Trade Association. However, Lin Yuan's words were tantamount to bringing everyone's guesses to the table. It clearly pointed out the Deep Frost Trade Association's evil deeds. Could this be the truth behind the burning of the Deep Frost Commerce's tree fortress? Zhuang Bei, who was the leader of the Li Source Chamber of Commerce, and the middle-aged woman frowned at the same time. The Li Source Chamber of Commerce had always focused on the capital city, Sacred Forest City. It had only been a year since the Li Source Chamber of Commerce had opened a branch in Oak City. The Li Source Chamber of Commerce had no idea what Song Dingzhen had done behind the scenes. However, the news of the alliance between the Li Source Chamber of Commerce and the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce had already spread, and everyone in Oak City knew about it. If the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce had really committed the crime of murdering caravans, then, even if the Li Source Chamber of Commerce did not participate, they would still end up with a bad reputation. Merchant caravans relied on merchant caravans, and merchant caravans relied on merchant caravans. Once it was proven that the Deep Frost Commerce had killed people, stolen goods, and harmed caravans, then the Li Source Merchant Guild would be feared and disliked by the other merchant groups. At that time, the reputation of the Li Source Chamber of Commerce would plummet, and its development would be greatly hindered. Facing Lin Yuan's question, Song Dingzhen certainly could not agree to it. When Song Dingzhen saw Lin Yuan walking in front of the Sincere Yi Caravan's members, she suddenly came to a realization. The cause of the matter was suddenly clear. The manager must have sent people to make a move on the Sincere Yi Caravan, and they had resisted. At the same time, there was an expert hidden in the Sincere Yi Caravan. After this expert killed the people sent by the manager, he set the tree fortress on fire. Thinking of this, Song Dingzhen immediately shouted, "Speak! Which chamber of commerce are you from? You want to use this method to slander and suppress our Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. Do you think the others will believe it? Who doesn't know that our Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce has always treated merchant caravans the best?" When Lin Yuan heard that, he did not care about the sophistry of Song Dingzhen. Instead, he spoke to Mr. Zhao beside him. "I'll let you explain how the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce plundered the caravan's supplies and how they silenced the caravan." Apart from fear, Mr. Zhao's heart had been suppressing a breath. Previously, he did not dare to say it, nor did he have the opportunity to say it. Now that he had Lin Yuan's support, and he saw the strength that Lin Yuan's retainer had displayed, Mr. Zhao's original fear of the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce had disappeared. What replaced it was endless anger. Mr. Zhao was no longer afraid of the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Zhao took a step forward and looked at the manager in black behind Song Dingzhen. "Manager Zhao, surely you don't forget who I am, right? Our Sincere Yi Caravan came to Oak City to give the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's reception manager, Jiao Yun, 10 silver and 55 bronze walnuts. Logically speaking, the Chamber of Commerce would only need half a day to sort out the supplies. But after Jiao Yun took these walnuts, he did not reply for an entire day. Then, I brought everyone from the Sincere Yi Caravan to the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce to look for Manager Jia. According to the rules, no more than 2 caravan members can enter the Chamber of Commerce. But this time, not only did the attendant at the door not stop our caravan, but he also sent a king-class expert to lead us all the way to the 8th floor. He was prepared to silence the sincere Yi caravan on the 8th floor. It's not hard to prove that I'm telling the truth. I know exactly what's inside the 10 silver walnuts and 55 bronze walnuts. Those walnuts are probably not with Jia Yun, but with President Song. We'll know if they're true or not. Mr. Zhao's words made Song Dingjun and Manager Jiao's faces turn as black as the bottom of a pot. For a moment, Song Dingjun did not know how to refute. That was because those walnuts were really on him. At this time, the atmosphere at the scene had dropped to a freezing point. The discussion of the crowd grew louder and louder. Seeing this, the two experts of the Ding family looked at each other. One of them stepped forward and said to Song Dingjun, "After this matter is over, the Ding family will investigate and give us an explanation. Disperse for now, don't stay here and affect the operation of the city." Seeing the expert of the Ding family speak, Song Dingjun let out a long breath. The Ding family could be said to be the lord of Oak City, and the development of Oak City was related to the development of the Ding family. As one of the major chambers of commerce in Oak City, if the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce fell, it would definitely have a huge impact on the economy of Oak City. Thus, Oak City needed the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce to continue to exist. As long as he gave the Ding family enough benefits, the Ding family would be willing to help him conceal this matter. After all, there was still no conclusive evidence to prove that he had murdered the caravan. End of this chapter. Chapter 1423. Oak City's Central Region. The various chambers of commerce, including the Class 4 Creation Master Ding family, and the native nobles. They were all shocked by the fact that Lin Yuan had killed all the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's members. The moment the major factions learned of the situation, the higher-ups made decisions. They were deciding whether to find out more about Lin Yuan and rope him in, or to stay away from Lin Yuan and be an outsider and not get involved in trouble. However, even if Oak City's central region was shaken, it had nothing to do with Oak City's wasteland. When Su Iren had first arrived at the Divine Wood Federation, she had been active in Oak City's central region. However, during her time in the Central District, Su Iren was humiliated every day because of her status as a refugee. Just because she was an eyesore, she had been attacked by the native nobles who passed by. She had almost died because of her severe injuries. It was at that time that she had first entered the Celestial Council and received Lin Yuan's help. After she had woken up, her injuries had completely healed. That had given her the capital to continue living. The cruelty of living in Oak City's central region had made Su Iren understand that it was not suitable for her to survive. Therefore, she had gone to the wasteland. Oak City's native nobles had their own identities and would not step foot in the wasteland. After arriving at the wasteland, Su Iren would face refugees like herself. To be honest, the unmanaged wasteland that followed the law of the jungle was much more dangerous than the main city. But here, Su Iren had found a way to survive. The first thing she did when she arrived at the wasteland was to dirty herself. The dirt on her face made it impossible to see her original appearance. Su Iren was not short and was around 1.67 meters tall. Su Iren stuffed a large amount of fallen leaves that could be seen everywhere in the wasteland. She stuffed these dried leaves into her clothes to make herself look stronger. This made it so that almost no scavengers would take the initiative to target Su Iren. But such peaceful days did not last for long. In order to survive, they had to wait for Lin Yuan's redemption. Su Iren did her best to scavenge. Almost half of the people in the wasteland made a living by scavenging. Over the past few days, Su Iren had scavenged many edible items. She had even scavenged a mobile phone that could be used for communication. However, no matter how stealthily Swell scavenged, she still caught the attention of other scavengers. Su Iren, who used to be a gloom envoy, had not dared to sleep for the past few days. Even if he was sleepy and wanted to take a nap, he could only squint his eyes. A few days ago, while Swell was resting with her eyes closed, she was attacked by a male scavenger with a rusty dagger. Fortunately, Su Iren had piled up many copper gong leaves around her landing spot in advance. The slightest tremble would produce a crisp sound. That was why Su Iren woke up in shock. However, even though Su Iren had woken up, it was still too late. Fortunately, Su Iren had special combat training. The startled Su Iren hurriedly used her palm to block the dagger, risking injury to her palm. He used his palm as a shield. Su Iren's combat skills played a crucial role in the fight. Su Iren expended a great deal of effort to kill the man, and Su Iren managed to obtain a rusty dagger. After Zoal obtained the rusty dagger, she found a few hard stones. She polished the dagger for half a day. She forcefully turned the dagger, which had basically no lethality, into a lethal weapon. Originally, Su Iren's heart was full of hope. However, the Celestial Body Conference was not held as scheduled, and Su Iren's eyes were clouded with a layer of grey fog. Whether it was the sky or the sun, Su Iren, who had lost all hope, was grey. Su Iren had struggled to survive in the Divine Wood Federation for so long, and could already predict when she would fall unconscious from the pain caused by her injured soul. Su Iren, who had calculated the time, would use the dagger to find those who had their eyes on her. Then, she would take the initiative to attack. Because Su Iren knew that once her soul injury acted up and she entered a state where she could not move. Even a child could easily end his own life. In order to protect herself, even if Su Iren was once as noble as a gloom envoy, she still had to abide by the inherent law of the jungle in the wasteland. Fortunately, Zoal had managed to get rid of a lot of potential dangers with her dagger while waiting for the next Celestial Body Conference. However, in a battle, in order to avoid the scavenger's hammer, Su Iren had to use her left shoulder as a shield. Su Iren had to use her left shoulder as a shield to block the blow. Su Iren, whose soul was injured, could not use storage equipment. As a result, Su Iren could only wear the items she had scavenged. Su Iren placed the phone, which represented hope, on her chest. However, she did not expect that the scavenger had such good fighting skills. Seeing that Su Iren used her left shoulder to block the blow, the scavenger changed the direction of the hammer. The huge hammer smashed down on Su Iren's chest, smashing the phone in her chest. In the end, Su Iren did not suffer any other injuries except for the blood in her chest. The scavenger's attack on Su Iren gave Su Iren an opportunity to end the scavenger's life with her dagger. However, this hammer strike had destroyed Su Iren's remaining hope. In Su Iren's mind, even if the next Celestial Body Conference was held as scheduled. However, without the cell phone, even if the figure of the Celestial Body Council really came to the Divine Wood Federation and Oak City, how would they find her? Ever since the phone was broken, Su Iren lived like a walking corpse. Su Iren could only rely on her instincts to protect her life with the dagger in her hand. In every battle, if she was lucky, she would only suffer minor injuries. If she was unlucky, bleeding and broken bones were common. New injuries and old injuries added on top of each other. Su Iren felt that the pain in her body was comparable to the pain in her soul. Especially her palm, which had been pierced by the dagger. In every battle, Su Iren would use her palm to attack or defend. This did not give Su Iren's wound any chance to scab. The dirty environment and biting mosquitoes caused Su Iren's left palm to swell to 3 times its original size. The night in the wasteland was always the most difficult to endure. At this time, Su Iren, who had just endured the soul injury, felt that her mind was extremely clear. Su Iren felt like she was seeing her childhood, the prosperous Dark Seven Nations. Even the ceremony where she became a Dark Envoy was still vivid in her mind. At this moment, Su Iren felt extremely tired. This kind of exhaustion was not something her body could bear. Su Iren felt the injuries on her body and laughed bitterly. I probably won't be able to last until the next Celestial Body Conference. Chapter 1424. Just then, Su Iren heard a series of footsteps from afar. The footsteps were very steady and unhurried. It was like a few noblemen strolling in a garden. Su Iren's heart jumped. Based on the footsteps, Su Iren knew that there was more than one person coming in her direction. At this time, Su Iren could barely fight one person, let alone a few people. Su Iren sighed. She did not pick up the dagger and stubbornly stood up. Instead, she slowly placed the dagger on the ground. Su Iren lowered her head. She did not look in front of her. She just quietly looked at the ground. Perhaps after she died, she would also turn into dust. Just like the fallen Dark Continent. just as Su Iren was about to give up and think that she was about to be freed. Looking at Su Iren on the ground, she saw a pair of white boots with cloud patterns embroidered on them. The white boots that suddenly came into view made Su Iren's expression change. Because these white boots should not have appeared in a place like the wasteland. At that moment, Su Iren heard a clear voice from above her head. If you can still hold this dagger, you shouldn't have thrown it on the ground. Hearing this clear voice, Su Iren's eyes widened. Her pupils flashed with a look of disbelief and joy. In that instant, Su Iren's grey eyes were dyed with a myriad of colors. Su Iren suddenly raised her head and looked up with a burning gaze. Su Iren's eyes met a pair of warm, black eyes. Su Iren had heard Lin Yuan's voice before in the Celestial Body Council. Su Iren did not know how many times she had dreamed of Lin Yuan's voice. Now that she suddenly heard it, Su Iren felt as if her soul and body had been saved. A person who had held on to hope, but gradually lost hope, suddenly grasped it again in the face of despair. It felt as if she had been reborn. Su Iren struggled to stand up from Lin Yuan's feet. But there was not a single part of her body that was unharmed. Su Iren, who was infected in many places, no longer had the ability to stand. After struggling for a while and confirming that she could not stand up, Su Iren used her injured right hand to hold the dagger with difficulty. She wanted to say something to Lin Yuan, but she did not even have the strength to open her mouth. Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao were both born in the abandoned city. Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao had seen many wanderers with injuries like Su Iren's. When Xiao Hua saw Su Iren, he subconsciously wanted to pull off the leaves on his body. However, when Xiao Hua's hand touched her clothes, she realized that she was wearing clothes made of leaves. Let me recommend you the reading app that I've been using recently. There are many sources of books, and the books are complete. It's updated quickly. Instead, it was the brocade that Lin Yuan had sewn. Xiao Cao held Liu Jie's hand tightly and looked at Lin Yuan and Liu Jie eagerly. He looked as if he wanted to say something but didn't dare to. Then, Xiao Cao looked at Little Blossom with a look that said, "Big sister, quickly think of a way." Lin Yuan and Liu Jie noticed their reactions. Lin Yuan and Liu Jie were rather gratified and surprised at the same time. Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao had been living in a tough environment. Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao were family, so it was reasonable for them to care about each other. But he didn't expect that Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao would also be kind and sympathetic to the wanderers around them. This was a precious quality that was hard to maintain in a tough environment. Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao should have received help from some kind-hearted people during their years living in the abandoned city. Otherwise, this kindness and compassion would have long been wiped out by the evil thoughts that had been bred in him. Lin Yuan studied Su Iren's face. Su Iren's swollen and dirty face made it impossible for Lin Yuan to see what she looked like. Su Iren, who was lying on the ground, did not have any aura to speak of. Lin Yuan looked at the water lily, who had just come to Ji Feng's side. The water lily saw Lin Yuan's gaze and stepped forward to speak softly. "My lord, I don't have the ability to heal injuries. When we found her here last night, her injuries were already this serious. In order to let her wait until you arrived, I even took care of some of the wanderers who had their eyes on her. Otherwise, those wanderers would have taken care of her before nightfall." Lin Yuan nodded and shook his hand. A green light landed on Su Iren's body. Under Lin Yuan's healing, Su Iren's injuries were quickly healed. Sui Iren, who had fully recovered, looked much smaller than before. It was enough to prove just how swollen Zhu had been. Just as Su Iren was about to stand up, the injury to her soul suddenly acted up. Zhu Iren groaned and curled up on the ground, hugging her head as she trembled. Lin Yuan said to Ji Feng, "Ji Feng, let the water lily try and see if it can heal the wound on her soul. The damage to her soul is related to the sacred source life form in a near-death state. It may be more troublesome to cure," Wang Yarrow said. Upon hearing that, Ji Feng immediately commanded the water lily to plant a soul seed in Su Iren's soul. The moment the soul seed entered Su Iren's soul, Ji Feng and Jianlan's expressions changed to one of shock. Ji Feng and the water lily realized that Zhu Iren's soul was completely cracked. An unknown plant with only its roots was rooted in the center of Zoal's soul. Even the roots of this fae were a little withered. The soul-nourishing power released by the soul seed seemed to have touched this plant. It caused the plant's roots to move gently. Upon seeing that, the water lily detonated the soul seed, guiding the soul seed's energy to nourish Zu-Eren's soul. It completely ignored the loss of energy in the soul seed. With this level of nourishment, Zu-Eren's trembling body slowly calmed down. However, the pain in her soul still made Zu-Eren break out in a cold sweat. Nevertheless, Zu-Eren was able to endure this kind of pain. It was not difficult for a Myth 3 myth breed fae like the water lily to use its ability to plant a soul seed in her soul. The water lily planted 6 soul seeds in Zu-Eren's soul and detonated them one after another. Soon, Zu-Eren's damaged soul recovered by more than half. However, the plant in Zu-Eren's soul showed no signs of recovery. The soul seed of the water lily's soul seed was nourishing the soul, not soul power. However, for the plant sacred source life form in Zu-Eren's soul to recover, it needed a large amount of life force and soul power. The water lily did not have spiritual ingredients that contained a large amount of soul power and life force. Therefore, the water lily said to Lin Yuan, "My lord, I have recovered 80% of her soul." "My lord, I've already recovered 80% of her soul. However, if we want her soul to fully recover, we must first heal her sacred source life form. This requires a large amount of life force and soul power. My lord, what do you think we should do?" ABC. Chapter 14:25. At that moment, Zu-Eren stood up. Zu-Eren looked at Lin Yuan and pondered for a moment. Then, she bowed firmly to Lin Yuan and said, "I will be your subordinate from now on. From now on, I will be one of your subordinates, my lord. If there is anything you need me to do, please let me know. My name is Zu-Eren." Zu-Eren's words made Lin Yuan look at her in surprise. In Lin Yuan's opinion, as a dark envoy, it would be difficult for Zu-Eren to immediately change her attitude after joining the Heavenly Council. She still needed to be corrected and tempered. In the end, Zu-Eren's reaction was far beyond Lin Yuan's expectations. She actually addressed him as a lord. Since Zu-Eren had made her stance clear, Lin Yuan had nothing to be stingy about. Lin Yuan had just obtained the island whale brain oil, so he did not lack things that contained soul energy. However, if he really looked into things that contained life energy, Lin Yuan only had the life form Silent Flame and the Jasmine Lily's life energy. The life form Silent Flame was a rare fire-type item and could be used as a tree core for plant phase. It had the effect of reviving plant phase. It was very feasible to use the life form Silent Flame to heal Zu-Eren's plant sacred source life form, but Lin Yuan did not want to use up the only life form Silent Flame he had. The Jasmine Lily was currently only a platinum fantasy breed fae. The life energy released by the Jasmine Lily was obviously not enough to heal Zu-Eren's sacred source life form. However, compared to using up the life form Silent Flame, Lin Yuan was still willing to open the life imprint. He used the accumulated life energy in the life imprint to heal Zu-Eren's sacred source life form. The last time Lin Yuan activated the Jasmine Lily's life imprint was when he was saving the Mother of Bloodbath. It had been a week since the Mother of Bloodbath had become a favored spirit. During this week, the life imprint had accumulated a lot of life energy. Under the night sky, Lin Yuan opened the life imprint, and a large green lotus flower pattern appeared on his forehead. The surging life energy flowed through Lin Yuan's body from the green lotus flower pattern. It made Lin Yuan's skin exude a pale green luster of life. Lin Yuan took out the smallest of the 3 pieces of island whale brain oil and threw it to the water lily. He placed his palm on top of Zu-Eren's head and slowly released life energy into her body. After receiving the island whale brain oil from Lin Yuan, he ordered the water lily to quickly guide the soul power in the island whale brain oil. Infuse this soul energy into Zoal's soul. Then, he detonated the soul seeds one after another, using the soul seeds to recover the soul power released by the soul seeds to speed up the absorption of the sacred source lifeform's soul power. Zu-Eren's sacred source lifeform absorbed the island whale brain oil's soul power. It was also absorbing the vitality that Lin Yuan had injected into Zoal's body. After dozens of soul seeds detonated, The plant root in Zhu Yiren's soul grew a small red and green spike. There were a few light purple leaves growing on the stem. From the moment these leaves appeared, they continued to grow. From a tender green, it had evolved into a dark green mixed with a rich purple color. And among these 5 or 6 leaves, there was a green flower bud that was half the size of a palm. The green flower bud grew bigger and bigger until it was the size of a palm. The green flower bud had already turned into a charming pink. The huge pink flower bud slowly unfolded and turned into a beautiful and enchanting flower. Jifeng and the water lily, who had been examining Zoal's soul, had an infatuated expression on their faces. It was as though in an instant, the female plant fae, water lily, and the spirit chi professional, Jifeng, felt a deep love for Zoal. At the same time, they felt a deep love for Zoal. Fortunately, after realizing this, Zhu Yiren hurriedly took control of the pink and purple flower in her soul that had already bloomed to the point of blooming. Only then did Jifeng and water lily break away from their love. Because Lin Yuan had only injected vitality into Zoal's body, he did not examine the condition of her soul. Therefore, Lin Yuan was not affected by the absolute love poppy. Because of this, Lin Yuan saw the infatuated expressions on Jifeng and water lily's faces. Lin Yuan could not help but be secretly shocked by the power of Zoal's sacred source life form. When the jasmine lily had healed Zoal, its vitality had washed through her bones, allowing Lin Yuan to know that Zoal was about 26 or 27 years old. She was only 2 or 3 years older than Zhong Ziyi, Jiyu Lang, and An He. At such an age, Zoal's sacred source life form would at most be in the 4-star to 6-star growth stage. Unintentionally, Zoal's sacred source life form could affect Jifeng, a pinnacle emperor class expert, and water lily, a pinnacle myth breed plant fae. It was enough to show the power of Zoal's sacred source life form. It was Lin Yuan's first time seeing such an ability that could make people feel love. Thinking about it, this function should be an extremely powerful control ability. It was somewhat similar to Fei Qianqiong's Jiyu worms. However, compared to Fei Qianqiong's control ability, this method of inducing love was more efficient and powerful. Just like how Fei Qianqiong's Jiyu worms used their lives to threaten a person, Zoal could directly transform a person into a crazy bootlicker. In Lin Yuan's opinion, Zoal's sacred source lifeform's ability was very suitable for the work he was going to arrange for her. While Jifeng commanded water lily to heal Zoal, he looked at Zoal with a guarded gaze. Jifeng was very afraid that Zoal would use this plant sacred source lifeform to control or threaten Lin Yuan's safety. However, Jifeng was obviously thinking too much. After Zhu Yiren recovered, she immediately swore an oath with a law rune and pledged her loyalty to Lin Yuan. Zoal understood very well that Lin Yuan had saved her. Her loyalty to Lin Yuan was something they had agreed on at the Celestial Council. As a darkness envoy, Zoal was very knowledgeable. She knew that Lin Yuan had used a precious strategic resource like island whale brain oil to heal her. From this, it could be seen that Lin Yuan was not a stingy person. Therefore, Zoal felt that if she wanted to be put in an important position by Lin Yuan, the best way was to show her attitude first. Zoal's injuries were now healed. Previously, Zoal had been unable to summon her own phase because all 4 of her phase were connected to the sacred source lifeform, Absolute Love Poppy. The Absolute Love Poppy was in a near-death state, causing her other phase to be unable to be summoned. At that moment, Zoal could finally summon her phase freely and use their strength to protect her safety. This allowed Zoal to regain the confidence that she had almost lost. After Zhu Yiren recovered from her injuries, she swore an oath of loyalty to herself. This was both unexpected and within Lin Yuan's expectations. But no matter what, he could see that Zoal was a smart person. It did not take much effort to communicate with smart people. ABC. Chapter 1426. The injuries on Zhu Yiren's body and soul had faded, and the sacred source lifeform, the Absolute Love Poppy, had also recovered. Zhu Yiren was now at her peak. However, the dirt and blood scabs still remained on her body. Zhu Yiren's injuries were being healed by the vitality energy. The infected cells would die quickly and eventually turn into thick water and be discharged from the body. This caused Zhu Yiren's body to be sticky, as if her clothes were stuck to her body. In addition, These filthy things emitted an unpleasant smell. Su Iren could not help but frown. Su Iren moved her body uncomfortably and subconsciously took a few steps back, putting some distance between her and Lin Yuan. It was as if she was afraid that Lin Yuan would smell the smell on her body. Lin Yuan raised his eyebrows and said, "The most important thing for you now is to take a bath and clean up your body. Right now, the most urgent thing for you is to take a shower and clean up your body. Let's go to the main city area and find Central Tree Castle. You can also help these two little fellows clean up. When you're done, we'll have a good talk." Su Iren hurriedly nodded. Su Iren's loyalty oath to Lin Yuan was because she recognized reality. She chose the most advantageous way to deal with it in the future. It was not because Su Iren's self-esteem had been washed away during this period of struggling to survive in the Divine Wood Federation. If Su Iren was here covered in filth and had a face-to-face conversation with Lin Yuan, Su Iren was a little embarrassed. Lin Yuan was able to find out what she was thinking through some small actions. His act of taking the initiative to think for her warmed Su Iren's heart. It might not be an unbearable thing to work under such a person. Just as Su Iren was about to thank him, a squeaking sound came. A small mouse less than the size of a palm came out of the pile of fallen leaves not far from Su Iren and came to a broken branch. It looked around with a very vigilant expression. After confirming that Lin Yuan and the others were far enough away, the mouse lifted the broken branch that it had just picked up. Lin Yuan's eyes lit up when he saw this mouse. This mouse looked exactly the same as the flowery branch mouse that Lin Yuan had encountered when he had first come to the Divine Wood Federation. The amber button-shaped source sand fell from Lin Yuan's sleeve and burrowed into the ground. Then, the gravel formed a silk thread and wrapped the flower branch rat tightly. Lin Yuan brought the flower branch rat in front of him and looked at its panicked appearance. Lin Yuan circulated his spiritual power, and an undetectable trace of spirit qi appeared in his palm to appease the panicking flower branch rat. This pure spiritual qi caused the flower branch rat to quickly calm down. Even if Lin Yuan got the source sand to remove its control over the flowery branch rat, the source sand wouldn't be able to control it. The flower branch rat was still on Lin Yuan's palm and wasn't willing to leave. Lin Yuan was not in a hurry to enhance this flower branch rat. Although Su Iren had sworn an oath of loyalty to him and had become someone he could trust, Su Iren was not someone he could trust. However, there were some things that Su Iren did not need to know. When Su Iren saw that Lin Yuan was very interested in this flower branch rat, she hurriedly said, "Sir, there are many kinds of rats that are commonly seen in the abandoned city. This mouse with brown fur is a kind of mouse that likes to live alone. It usually moves alone and feeds on plant leaves and fruits. In the abandoned city, this kind of rat will not spread diseases. During the time I've been in the abandoned city, I've seen this kind of mouse at least 20 to 30 times. Su Iren was a little puzzled. She did not understand why Lin Yuan would be interested in this kind of mouse that was not even considered a fey. In Su Iren's eyes, this kind of mouse was a worthless existence. If it was really valuable, the Divine Wood Federation's native nobles would not allow this kind of mouse to spread in the abandoned city. When he heard Su Iren's words, Lin Yuan's eyes lit up. From the reaction of the bandit scouts, Lin Yuan had guessed that this kind of flower branch rat should be very common. He did not expect that the flower branch rat would be so rampant in the abandoned city. It was no wonder that the scout had a look of contempt when he saw this flower branch rat standing on his shoulder. However, the proliferation of flower branch rats was good news for Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan waved his hand and summoned Black, and he flew toward the direction of the main city with Liu Jie, Ji Feng, Xiao Hua, Xiao Cao, and Su Iren. Black's flying speed was extremely fast, and in a moment, they arrived at the side of a tree fortress in the main city. Ji Feng immediately rented the entire tree fortress. The tree fortress that Lin Yuan chose was a luxurious family-style tree fortress. The entire tree fortress was not divided into layers. Inside the tree fortress, there was a huge living room, and next to it were several bedrooms. It was mostly used as a venue for the Divine Wood Federation's native nobles to hold banquets. When Su Iren entered the tree fortress, she did not even have time to drink a mouthful of water. She wanted to rush into the bathroom with Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao. At that moment, Su Iran was stopped by Lin Yuan. Su Iran, do you have a change of clothes there? If not, I have some fabric here. You can do some simple sewing. Upon hearing that, Su Iran raised her wrist. Lin Yuan saw that on Su Iran's wrist was a golden disc the size of a coin. Lin Yuan was very familiar with the appearance of this golden disc. It was basically the same as the golden disc that he had seized in the Class 3 Abyss Dimensional Rift in the royal capital suburbs. However, the golden disc on Su Iran's wrist was much smaller than the one that Lin Yuan had seized. It was also more exquisite. At first, Lin Yuan had thought that the people of the Dark Continent had set their sights on the Radiance Federation. However, later, in the Indigo Azure City's coastal area, in the upgraded Water World Dimensional Rift, Lin Yuan knew that all of this was a conspiracy of the Seventh Page War in the Tower Cannon. According to the investigation of Su Iran's life experience when she joined the Celestial Council, Lin Yuan knew that the Dark Seven States had been destroyed, and the Dark Continent had fallen into the hands of the Seventh Page War. This could explain why there were so many people from the Dark Continent in the upgraded Water World Dimensional Rift. The Seventh Page War's subordinates could command the Dark Continent's spirit chi professionals. It seemed that the destruction of the Dark Seven States and the fall of the Dark Continent was not as simple as the invasion of the Seventh Page War. Lin Yuan did not have any plans for the Dark Continent yet. Therefore, there was no need for Lin Yuan to tell Su Iran about the Tower Cannon and the Dark Continent. When Su Iran saw Lin Yuan's gaze on the golden disc on her wrist, she explained to him, "This is our spatial storage equipment. This is our spatial storage equipment. It can store both living and dead things. It's about the size of 4 training fields. Previously, my spirit and soul were injured, so I couldn't open this spatial disc. But now, I can. In this spatial disc, there are many clothes that I wear every day." Upon hearing Su Iran's words, Lin Yuan said no more. End of this chapter. Chapter 1427. Lin Yuan picked up a red soft-skinned fruit from the fruit platter and took a bite of it. He then explained Su Iran's identity to Liu Jie, who was full of questions. Liu Jie had not joined the Heavenly Body Council, so he did not know much about Su Iran. In addition, most of the time he had been in the Radiance Federation, he had been going to the land of spirit suppression to let the Insect Queen control the Carcinoma Fae. He had only spent a small portion of his time in the Return from Faraway Mansion. Therefore, he and Wen Yu did not have the chance to tell Liu Jie about Su Iran's situation. Ever since Liu Jie had found out that Su Iran had a sacred source lifeform, he had been wondering about her identity. In Liu Jie's opinion, a person with a sacred source lifeform. There was no reason for her to suffer in Oak City's wasteland. There were no Class 5 creation masters in the Divinewood Federation, and an Emperor-class expert was the Divinewood Federation's combat power limit. Sacred source lifeforms were produced in Class 5 dimensional rifts. It was not easy for the Divinewood Federation to clean up the dimensional lifeforms in Class 5 dimensional rifts and retrieve sacred source lifeforms. There should not be many sacred source lifeforms in the entire Divinewood Federation. Su Iran's appearance in the wasteland was too strange. Moreover, Lin Yuan seemed to have known of Su Iran's existence and had gone straight to the wasteland. Liu Jie recognized the spatial equipment on Su Iran's hand. It was the Dark Federation's top spatial disk. It was the Dark Federation's top spatial disk, unlike the Radiance Federation's Fae storage box. After removing the spiritual imprint, others could use it at will. The Dark Federation's top spatial disk could only be opened by its contractor. Once the contractor died, the space plate would become a piece of trash. The items inside might never be taken out again. In the Dark Continent, only the true upper-class people could own such excellent space equipment with great concealment. Through this spatial disk, Liu Jie could guess that Su Iran came from the Dark Continent. She had an extraordinary identity. Just as Liu Jie was guessing Su Iran's identity, Lin Yuan spoke. Big Brother Liu, Su Iran was previously elected by the Dark Seven States to be the current Dark Envoy. You know the situation in the Dark Continent. Su Iran escaped all the way to the Divinewood Federation from there. Although Liu Jie had guessed that Su Iran had an extraordinary background, he did not expect her to be the current Dark Envoy elected by the 7 Dark Nations. Su Iren's identity was enough to represent the 7 Dark States and sail out of the Radiance Federation. The 7 Dark States were not strong individually, and they were not even comparable to the Divine Wood Federation. However, the combined strength of the 7 Dark States was equivalent to the combined strength of the Deeplush Federation, the Divine Wood Federation, and the Iron Hammer Federation. More importantly, a Class 5 Creation Master had appeared in the Dark 7 States. It was the appearance of this Class 5 Creation Master that allowed the originally independent 7 Dark States to become one. The existence of Class 5 Creation Masters allowed the Dark 7 States to nurture top-notch experts. Su Iren, who was born as a Gloom Envoy, could definitely be called a true goddess at that time. Such a heavenly genius had now become one of Lin Yuan's subordinates. Liu Jie had been a Radiance 100 sequence member for a long time and had then become a disciple of the Spirit Guard's chief guard, Night-Leaning Moon. His knowledge was far beyond that of the younger generation. Therefore, Liu Jie was well aware of the benefits of Su Iren being Lin Yuan's subordinate. In the future, if Lin Yuan wanted to target the Dark Continent, with Su Iren around, everything Lin Yuan wanted to do would be justified. Liu Jie quickly calmed down after the initial shock. Ji Feng was still in shock and could not come back to his senses. Even though Ji Feng knew that Lin Yuan was Sky City's city lord and the Moon Empress disciple, he still did not dare to imagine that Lin Yuan could accept a Gloom Envoy as his subordinate. Ji Feng still did not dare to imagine that Lin Yuan could accept a Gloom Envoy as his subordinate. While Lin Yuan, Liu Jie, and Ji Feng were talking, Su Iren had already led Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao to the bathroom to take a bath. After Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao were done bathing, Xiao Hua skillfully picked up the white clothes that Lin Yuan had sewn for him and Xiao Cao and carefully washed them. Upon seeing this, Su Iren prepared to help. Xiao Hua first thanked Su Iren and then shook his head. Instead, he took the old clothes that Su Iren had taken off and prepared to help her wash them. Upon seeing this, Su Iren bent over and gently pinched Xiao Hua's cheek. Big sister will not wear these clothes anymore. Su Iren, who was in the bathroom, looked at herself in the mirror. It felt as though a lifetime had passed. A moment later, Su Iren took out a set of dark purple spirit chi clothes from her spatial disc. This spirit chi clothes were inlaid with purple caltrop crystals. The purple caltrop crystals on the surface of the clothes made the spirit chi clothes look like armor. However, this spirit chi clothes did not look bulky in the slightest when it was cut. When the purple armor-like spirit chi clothes were worn on Su Iren's body, a strange sense of beauty instantly exuded from her body. Before Su Iren became a Gloom Envoy, she had already become famous in the 7 Dark States with her appearance. In the entire 7 Dark States, no man or woman dared to say that they could surpass Su Iren in appearance. It was fine if women could not compare to Su Iren. Men could not compare to Su Iren because Su Iren's appearance did not look feminine. Instead, it was full of heroic spirit. In addition, Su Iren had always kept her hair short. This made Su Iren look a little androgynous. Su Iren's temperament had a lot to do with the sacred source lifeform, Absolute Love Poppy's ability. This kind of androgynous beauty could instantly capture the eyes of other living beings. It made the other creatures feel a sense of love and attachment towards Su Iren. After putting on the spirit chi clothes, Su Iren thought for a moment and took out a black fruit from her spatial disc. Then, she crushed the black fruit and squeezed out the black juice. She evenly rubbed the juice on her hair. As the black juice was evenly applied, Su Iren's dark purple hair instantly turned black. Su Iren had already become Lin Yuan's subordinate, and she had been observing him. Liu Jie and Ji Feng, who followed Lin Yuan, both had black hair and black eyes. Therefore, they wanted to be in step with Lin Yuan and not stand out beside him. Black hair and black eyes were the best choice. After dyeing her hair, Su Iren took out an earring that looked like a hanging bell. She put this bell-like earring into her ear holes. The bell hanging under Su Iren's ears swayed gently, and it would invisibly attract the attention of others. Su Iren took a deep breath, opened the bathroom door, and walked to Lin Yuan's side. Lin Yuan, Liu Jie, and Ji Feng heard footsteps beside them and turned their heads. When they saw Su Iren, they were stunned. At that moment, Morbius, which was on Lin Yuan's wrist, automatically used Calm Mind on Lin Yuan. End of this chapter. Chapter 1428. Calm Mind was Morbius' passive skill. When he suffered any negative effects from his mind and soul, or when external forces would affect his mind and soul, Calm Mind would automatically activate. Su Iren had already used a law rune to issue an allegiance oath. Naturally, he did not dare to deliberately activate the absolute love poppy's ability to seduce Lin Yuan. One of the reasons Calm Heart was triggered was because of Su Iren's stunning beauty. On the other hand, it was also the absolute love poppy's ability that had subtly enhanced Su Iren's temperament. Lin Yuan saw that Su Iren was only stunned for a moment before her expression returned to normal. It could be said that Su Iren had the most outstanding features among all the women he had seen in this life. However, a woman's beauty was not only reflected in her facial features. Lin Yuan's master, the Moon Empress, the chief guard of the spirit guards, Night Leaning Moon, and even the Bamboo Monarch's lover, Pavilion Lord Wang Fuxiang. Every one of them had elegant facial features, a distinct personality, and a temperament that had been tempered by the baptism of time. This was something that Sui Iren could not compare to in terms of looks alone. Also, the short-haired Su Iren was too handsome. This kind of heroic appearance would greatly reduce the lethality of a straight man. After Lin Yuan came back to his senses, Liu Jie did the same. Liu Jie, who had recovered from his shock, looked at Su Iren again. However, in terms of appearance and temperament, Liu Jie felt that Su Iren and Lin Yuan were almost on par. Ever since he had returned to the Return from Faraway Mansion from the Divine Wood Federation, he had made a trip to the Radiant Moon Palace. Liu Jie found that Lin Yuan's facial features were even more exquisite. His bone form became even more regular. The altered bone form allowed Lin Yuan's figure and the shape of each bone to present a kind of extreme natural beauty. It also made Lin Yuan's natural aura even purer. The natural and clean temperament that was born of nobility was even more charming than the nobility that was nurtured from a high position since childhood. Although Su Iren's facial features were beautiful, they were not as exquisite as Lin Yuan's, who had used the geocentric jade milk. In the course of one's life, any bad habits, such as sitting lazily, would cause changes in one's bone structure. No matter how careful Su Iren was, she could only look at the bones. There was still a certain gap between him and Lin Yuan. Liu Jie, who was used to seeing Lin Yuan, instinctively became immune to Su Iren after seeing her at first glance. On the other hand, Ji Feng's gaze was fixed on Su Iren for a full minute before he broke away. Of course, this couldn't be blamed entirely on Ji Feng's weak willpower. As an Emperor-class expert, Ji Feng was undoubtedly much stronger than Lin Yuan and Liu Jie in terms of willpower. At the end of the day, apart from those objective factors, Lin Yuan and Liu Jie were able to return to their senses earlier than Ji Feng. Most importantly, Lin Yuan and Liu Jie had contracted sacred source lifeforms. The sacred source lifeforms in Lin Yuan and Liu Jie's souls would automatically resist Su Iren's sacred source lifeform, the absolute love poppy. Although Su Iren did not purposely reveal this seductive aura. However, this did not stop Su Iren from determining that Lin Yuan, Liu Jie, and Ji Feng had contracted sacred source lifeforms. This made Su Iren even more curious about his identity. Lin Yuan and Liu Jie were younger than him. Liu Jie treated Lin Yuan as the leader in all aspects and acted like a retainer. Even his young retainer had a sacred source lifeform. Su Iren could not think of any other identity that could afford such an arrangement. Su Iren pondered for a moment before asking Lin Yuan, "My lord, I am now your subordinate." "Sir, I am now your subordinate. You already know my identity, so I also want to know your identity. Knowing your identity before working for you will also let me know how to do things." Lin Yuan originally wanted to talk to Su Iren about the work she would be doing in the Divine Wood Federation in the future, as well as the goal he needed to achieve in the Agorwan continent. Since Su Iren had taken the initiative to speak, it saved Lin Yuan the trouble of speaking first. However, Lin Yuan did not want to take the initiative to tell Su Iren his identity. Instead, he wanted to see if Su Iren could guess his identity based on what he had revealed. This was also a test of Su Iren's analytical ability. Thus, Lin Yuan spoke. Even if you don't know our identities, I'm sure you have your own guesses." Upon hearing that, Su Iren immediately understood what Lin Yuan meant. She knew that Lin Yuan wanted to test her. Su Iren, who had just become Lin Yuan's subordinate, was very willing to face Lin Yuan's test. The more tests Lin Yuan gave her, the more ability she could display and be valued by Lin Yuan. She had used the law rune to swear allegiance to Lin Yuan and signed a contract with the Corona Australis throne in the Celestial Council. It could be said that her life and death were firmly in Lin Yuan's hands. "My lord, your hair and eyes are black, and you're on the AHI Wen Main Road. Logically speaking, I should have instinctively guessed that you are a member of the Deep Brahmin Federation's hidden aristocrats. However, the Deep Brahmin Federation's hidden aristocrats' method of nurturing their younger generation has always been to nurture the family's direct descendants to a certain level before sending them out to gain experience. With such a cultivation method, no disciple of a hidden clan would be worthy of 3 sacred source life forms. Also, my lord and your 2 companions' bearing is not something a member of the Deep Brahmin Federation's hidden aristocrats can have. Although I can't see anything from your eyes, my lord." When your 2 companions talked about the Divine Wood Federation, the companion who is about the same age as you only had a calm look in his eyes. But in the eyes of the older companion, there was a hint of disdain. This means that the older members on your side do not recognize the Divine Wood Federation or have an instinctive contempt for the Divine Wood Federation. In that case, according to your hair and eye colors, only the Radiance Federation, the Sand Continent Federation, and the Mother Goddess Federation, which have Class 5 Creation Masters, are suitable. But the Sand Continent Federation's entire federation is a desert environment, and the people here are blown by the sand all year round. Even if the impurities in the body are washed away, the skin will still show the unique style of the desert residents after being blown by the sand for a long time. From the moment the Mother Goddess Federation's people are born, they will use the phase blood from their head to various parts of their body. They will engrave tattoos according to their own experiences and record their life's glory and growth on their body. My lord, the 3 of you don't have tattoos, so only a powerful federation like the Radiance Federation with 3 Class 5 Creation Masters can nurture a person like you. Chapter 1429. Su Iren paused for a moment before continuing. I have also guessed that you might be a member of some powerful organization, such as the Pagoda Canon. But if you really came from a secret organization, you wouldn't have asked me to guess your identity. If you were born in the Pagoda Canon, you wouldn't be looking for me to save me. It's to kill me, to cut the weeds and eliminate the roots. Lin Yuan nodded approvingly at Su Iren. Then, he threw out his second question. What do you think I should do if I want to integrate the resources of the Divine Wood Federation and the Iron Hammer Federation? Su Iren's pupils constricted at his words. He did not expect Lin Yuan to have such a big scheme. Based on the contact he had with the flowers and grass earlier, Su Iren knew that Lin Yuan was not a cold-blooded person through her conversation with Xiao Hua and Xiao Cao. Thus, when she gave her suggestion, Su Iren deliberated for a while before speaking. I think you can take the same path as the Deep Vendor Federation and use the Chamber of Commerce to absorb the resources of the Divine Wood Federation and the Iron Hammer Federation. At the same time, this method will be more acceptable to the people of the Divine Wood Federation and the Iron Hammer Federation. They might even thank you instead. At this point, Su Iren added. It's just that if I want to establish a merchant association, recruit caravans, and open branches in various large cities, I will need a lot of energy. My lord, if you don't have time, you can choose a small merchant association in the Deep Burn Federation to support. Secondly, you can leave this matter to me. I will definitely make this matter as beautiful as possible. Su Iren's thoughts coincided with Lin Yuan's. However, Lin Yuan did not think as far ahead as Su Iren. However, Su Iren's suggestion of supporting a small chamber of commerce was indeed a feasible solution. The Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's attitude toward the caravan made Lin Yuan realize that it was simply impossible to rely on the caravan to obtain unlimited supplies from the Chamber of Commerce. The Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce had stolen the merchant caravan, and he had coincidentally discovered it. There was no guarantee that the same thing wouldn't happen to other chambers of commerce. Therefore, supporting a small chamber of commerce was not a bad idea. This made Lin Yuan think of the flourishing Chamber of Commerce. The flourishing Chamber of Commerce wasn't small, so it didn't need to start from scratch. The flourishing Chamber of Commerce had indeed encountered a problem. It wasn't impossible for the flourishing Chamber of Commerce to be supported. As for letting Su Iren establish a Chamber of Commerce, he had never thought about it. In his opinion, letting Su Iren, the current Dark Envoy, establish the Chamber of Commerce was a waste of her talents. He still had to develop the swamp world later. On the Divine Wood Federation's side, he could not always stay in the underground palace and do everything by himself. Lin Yuan needed someone who could do things for him. This man was a perfect fit for the Zoe. With Zoal's talent, the Iron Hoof tribe was able to divide their territory and build a large city. Zoal could also help Trey. Lin Yuan had only asked Genius to transmit the Class 1 Creation Master's knowledge into Trey's mind. He had never checked Trey's talent in real life. If Trey's talent was outstanding enough, Lin Yuan could nurture him and let him become a member of the Hammer 100 sequence. He even pushed Trey to the position of Iron Hammer Envoy. As for whether he could succeed or not, it would depend on whether Trey's talent and strength were sufficient. Apart from Lin Yuan and Wen Yu, the Celestial Council only had 4 members. Zuerin and Talari had already met up with him in reality. As an Azure Envoy, Yin Lin would represent the Azure Federation in setting sail for Radiance. As long as Lin Yuan wanted to meet Yin Lin, he would naturally be able to. As for Bei Shu, Lin Yuan was still a little confused about the cave continent where Bei Shu was currently. The books on the Hui Yaro's side had never mentioned the cave continent. This meant that there was either no federation on the cave continent, or the cave continent's federation had never participated in the main world's grand event, the Myriad Nations Convention. Therefore, if Lin Yuan wanted to meet Bei Shu in the future, he would have to rely on Bei Shu to walk out of the cave continent himself. Otherwise, Lin Yuan would have to use the ethereal jellyfish central tentacle to open a spatial tunnel from the Divine Wood Federation to the cave continent after storing enough walnuts. Lin Yuan had yet to make a decision on what to choose. Zuerin had been waiting for Lin Yuan's answer. She, who had just become Lin Yuan's subordinate, urgently needed to prove herself. However, Zuerin did not expect Lin Yuan to be in a hurry to assign her a task. Instead, she said with interest, "I'm a little interested in your sacred source lifeforms. Would you mind summoning your sacred source lifeforms and main phase for me to see?" Zuerin waved her hand without hesitation. She summoned her 4 main phase at the same time. Lin Yuan was a little dazed when he saw her summon her 4 main phase. Lin Yuan did not expect Su Iren's 4 main phase to be identical plant phase with bright red flowers. Looking at the appearance of these 4 plant phase, they should all be poppy plant phase. Upon seeing Lin Yuan looking curiously at her phase, Zuerin explained, "My 4 main phase are all love-framing poppies. My 4 main phase are all love-framing poppies." Zuerin seemed to think of something, and her expression became a little sad. Then, she said frankly, "My situation is a little special. My situation is a little special. Others contract a Fae first before contracting a sacred source lifeform. As for me, I first formed a contract with a sacred source lifeform before forming a contract with a Fae. I contract these 4 love-framing poppies to enhance the sacred source lifeform, the absolute love poppy's ability. My grandmother is the only Class 5 creation master in the 7 dark states. She fed me the precious glacier essence since I was young and used its power to temper my soul power. When I was 5 years old, I used up all 3 portions of the glacier essence. Grandma waited for another 3 years. When I was 8, she let me try to form a connection with a sacred source lifeform. Coincidentally, I succeeded. Since then, my combat style has always been centered around the sacred source lifeform. I also use phase to support the sacred source lifeform in combat." Lin Yuan, Liu Jie, and Ji Feng secretly clicked their tongues when they heard Zuerin's words. It seemed like Zuerin was undoubtedly the noblest among the 5 dark envoys in the 7 dark states. However, Zuerin's method of contracting phase was really strange. It could not be said that this strange method was weak. On the contrary, it was this strange method that allowed Zuerin to be able to reach her current age. Without activating the sacred source lifeform's ability, she was able to affect a pinnacle Emperor-class expert like Ji-Feng. This was enough to prove that Zueren's method of contracting phase was a success. Lin Yuan recalled Zueren's memories that he had checked. No wonder Zueren had dared to single-handedly find trouble with the 7th page of War. Chapter 1430. Speaking of people who could contract the same Fey, Lin Yuan had seen them before. After Lin Yuan had opened the Brahma insect cage channel, Lu Pinru had relied on her spiritual energy to contract nearly 20 lustrous weaver silkworms. Now, when Lu Pinru was fighting, she could take out a piece of clothing from the large wardrobe on her back every second. As Lu Pinru contracted more and more lustrous weaver silkworms, the wardrobe on her back also grew bigger. In addition to continuing to contract lustrous weaver silkworms and designing spirit chi clothing with Wen Yu, Lu Pinru was also working out. Otherwise, Lu Pinru might not be able to carry the large wardrobe on her back when she needed to fight. In addition, if Lin Yuan had not been nurturing the spirit spring lily, there happened to be a spirit spring lily that had mutated into a yellow spring lily. Then Gao Feng would have contracted 3 of the same spirit spring lilies. However, if all of them were contracted, Gao Feng might not have the opportunity to become His Majesty's disciple. Lin Yuan used Morbius True Data to check the 4 love-seizing poppies that Su Iren had summoned. He found that the 4 love-seizing poppies' bronze-exclusive skills were exactly the same. They were all yearning passion. Yearning passion, make other targets involuntarily have a good impression of you, resulting in love. When the love reaches a certain level, it will engrave a love imprint in the heart, spirit, and soul at the same time, using the love imprint to control the target. Obviously, these 4 love-seizing poppies had been carefully selected before contracting. The existence of these 4 love-seizing poppies was to complement the sacred source lifeform, absolute love poppy. Therefore, these 4 love-seizing poppies did not have any special abilities. To know how strong Su Iren was, he had to see the sacred source lifeform's ability. After summoning the 4 love-seizing poppies, Su Iren raised her hand. A large, flirtatious, pink poppy appeared in her palm. At that moment, Su Iren's eyes turned a beautiful pink. Su Iren's pink eyes glowed with a bright light. The surrounding environment was filled with a charming and gentle pink color. Love quickly grew in such an atmosphere. Princess in Lin Yuan's soul and the sacred source lifeform in Liu Jie's soul both released the aura that belonged to sacred source lifeforms. He did his best to resist this energy that could quickly breed love. However, Ji-Feng's attention was completely focused on the absolute love poppy in Su Iren's hands. Seeing this, Su Iren hurriedly whipped Ji-Feng's head with the absolute love poppy. Only then did Ji-Feng wake up from this atmosphere. Ji-Feng, who had just woken up, felt a lingering fear and embarrassment at the same time. Ji-Feng could feel that if he was really affected by the absolute love poppy in Su Iren's hands, he would not be able to suppress the love in his heart. In that case, he would be bound by this strong love and become a puppet controlled by love. After hitting Ji-Feng with the absolute love poppy, Su Iren hurriedly tried her best to control the absolute love poppy's ability. He was afraid that the absolute love poppy's ability would affect Ji-Feng. Lin Yuan and Liu Jie looked at each other and saw the disbelief in each other's eyes. The sacred source lifeforms in Lin Yuan and Liu Jie's souls could feel the pressure from the absolute love poppy. And this was with Zoal trying her best to control herself. One could imagine that Zoal's absolute love poppy's star would not be low. He immediately used Morbius True Data to check Zoal's sacred source lifeform, absolute love poppy. Lin Yuan's eyes widened when he saw it. Sacred source name, absolute love poppy, sacred source species, source family sacred source species, sacred source star class, 6 stars, sacred source type, spirit soul psychic functions sad smiley love desire glass, through the triple effects of the mind, spirit, and soul. The target will develop a strong sense of love. The love will produce a glass filled with love desire in the target's energy core. When the glass shatters, the target will sacrifice the energy core in its body to stimulate its combat power. When the energy core is exhausted, the target will lose its life. 14 millet fruit, contracts with 14 lifeforms of the same gender and species as the contractor and implants a cardamom-sized millet fruit from the absolute love poppy into their bodies. The target will inherit a small portion of the absolute love poppy's ability and change the target's appearance and body shape. The millet fruit implanted in the target's body will automatically absorb the love attracted by the target and transfer the love to the absolute love poppy to increase its star class. Lin Yuan did not expect Zoal's sacred source lifeform, the absolute love poppy, to have a 6-star star class. 6-star was the limit of a sacred source lifeform's growth period. It only needed one more star class for Zoal's sacred source lifeform to reach 7-star. When it reached adulthood, it would obtain a third ability. In addition to its star class, Lin Yuan also discovered that the absolute love poppy was a sacred source lifeform of the mind, soul, and mind. The mind controlled the mind, the soul controlled the consciousness, and the mind controlled the thoughts. Each of the control abilities could exert powerful control on the target. In other words, the absolute love poppy could control the target from the 3 levels of mind, soul, and mind. It was not an exaggeration to say that Zoal's sacred source lifeform, the absolute love poppy, had the strongest control ability among all the sacred source lifeforms that Lin Yuan had seen. The absolute love poppy's current 2 abilities, love desire glass, and 14 millet fruit, were derived from the foundation of control. After the love desire glass controlled the target through love, it could also shatter the glass to burn the target's potential. It allowed the target to instantly burst out with combat power that far exceeded normal. It could be said that Zoal could control all spirit chi professionals in the world if she was strong enough. It could become her weapon of attack or defense. At critical moments, Zoal could also self-destruct the weapon to make the weapon's attack or defense stronger. With just the love desire glass ability, Zoal was qualified to sit firmly on the throne of the Dark Envoy. As for the absolute love poppy's second ability, the 14 millet fruit, it seemed to be a method to quickly increase the absolute love poppy star class. This ability explained why Zoal's sacred source lifeform, the absolute love poppy, could reach 6-star so quickly. However, in Lin Yuan's opinion, the 14 millet fruit's ability was far from that simple. On the contrary, the 14 millet fruit was even more terrifying than the love desire glass. Zoal chose 14 spirit chi professionals and nurtured them into the 14 millet fruit. This meant that Zoal had 14 clones. These 14 clones were scattered around and could collect love for Zoal in a large area. This method of controlling the target through love was similar to the dimensional world's method of controlling the target through faith. 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1431. Su Iran had used the absolute love poppy to create a miniature dimension. In this miniature dimension, Su Iran was the high and mighty ruler. The spirit chi professionals that Su Iran had nurtured into the 14 millet fruits could be seen as 14 apostles. As long as Su Iran was given enough time, there would be enough living beings that would be attracted to Su Iran and devote their love to her. Su Iran's sacred source lifeform, the absolute love poppy, would rapidly increase in strength. Lin Yuan, who had seen through the absolute love poppy's nature, felt that Su Iran was a dangerous treasure. If Su Iran had not sworn an oath of loyalty, he would have viewed her as a dangerous person that he was extremely wary of. Let me recommend you the reading app that I've been using recently. There are many sources of books, and the books are complete. It's updated quickly, if not for Su Iran's soul being injured and absolute love poppy on the verge of death. Su Iran, who had escaped to the Divinewood Federation, even had the ability to use the absolute love poppy's ability to overthrow the Divinewood Federation and even the entire High Wen continent. If Su Iran had not woken Ji Feng up. As a martial emperor, Ji Feng had probably already condensed the colored glass of love in his body. It became a handy weapon in Su Iran's hands. Ji Feng's performance allowed Lin Yuan to understand Su Iran's strength and the importance of sacred source lifeforms. Ji Feng was one of them, even though he had not been Lin Yuan's subordinate for long. However, Ji Feng had already made a great contribution to the return from faraway manor. If not for Ji Feng's prediction, Lin Yuan would not have made preparations in advance. It was very likely that he would miss out on an auspicious item like the swallow of good fortune. Ji Feng's prediction was equivalent to adding a permanent luck buff to the people of Return from Faraway Manor. With that in mind, Lin Yuan took out the sacred source lifeform he had won from Anhe from the diamond Fey storage box. He casually handed the sacred source lifeform to Ji Feng and said, "Don't worry. Ji Feng, form a contract with this sacred source lifeform. No matter what sacred source lifeform you obtain after the contract, you will have the ability to resist against another expert who also possesses a sacred source lifeform." Lin Yuan's words shocked both Su Yiren and Ji Feng. Immediately after, Ji Feng felt a warm current in his heart. This warm current rushed to the top of his head, causing Ji Feng's eyes to become a little moist. 10 years ago, Ji Feng had also obtained an uncontracted sacred source lifeform. However, before Ji Feng could form a contract with the sacred source lifeform, the Sea Sky progeny fell into the 10,000 Flags progeny's trap. The sacred source lifeform that Ji Feng had stored in the Diamond Fey storage box had naturally been taken by the Myriad Flags lineage. After 10 years of fleeing, Ji Feng, the former young master of the Sea Sky clan, had turned into a middle-aged man in dire straits. Ji Feng had never hoped that he would be able to contract a sacred source lifeform in his lifetime. He had done nothing because Lin Yuan had seen him being affected by Su Yiren's sacred source lifeform. Without another word, Lin Yuan bestowed a sacred source lifeform to himself. Ji Feng felt that he was truly unable to repay such kindness. The words "a scholar would die for a bosom friend" seemed so powerless in front of Lin Yuan. He had already owed Lin Yuan a life and had yet to repay it. Ji Feng lowered his head and took the sacred source lifeform from Lin Yuan. At that moment, Ji Feng's thoughts had changed. The original agreement between Ji Feng and Lin Yuan was to stay by Lin Yuan's side for 3 years. Once the 3 years were up, Ji Feng would be free to leave Lin Yuan's side and seek revenge on the Whale Ocean Trading Company. In his heart, Ji Feng had already extended the 3 years indefinitely. Ji Feng had decided to stay by Lin Yuan's side for as long as he was alive. He would predict Lin Yuan's misfortune and fulfill his duty as a subordinate. When his life ended, he would seek revenge on the Myriad Flags progeny. Su Yiren fixed her gaze on Lin Yuan. After a long time, Su Yiren still had a look of disbelief. Su Yiren really wanted to ask Lin Yuan what he thought the sacred source lifeform was. Why did he give it to his subordinate so casually? It was as if he was rewarding a source-type lifeform. Su Yiren was pleasantly surprised by Lin Yuan's reward for Ji Feng. Since Lin Yuan was so generous to his subordinates, she had to work hard by his side. Would she be able to receive enough rewards to increase her strength? Su Yiren was currently only a Class 3 Creation Master. Su Yiren's grandmother was a Class 5 Creation Master and had been doing her best to teach Su Yiren. Unfortunately, Su Yiren did not have much talent as a Creation Master. In addition, Su Yiren's contracted 4 love-seizing poppies had increased her strength to suzerain and quality to Myth I. When she reached Myth 2, the love-seizing poppies wanted to quickly increase her strength in a short time. It was inevitable that law crystals would be used. If her grandmother was still around, Su Yiren would not have to worry about law crystals. However, her grandmother had died at the hands of the 7th Page War. Su Yiren could only rely on Lin Yuan now. If Lin Yuan did not plan to put her in an important position in the future and did not pour resources for her, only letting her work for development, her talent would undoubtedly be wasted. Slowly, minute ran and the others. Su Yiren was filled with hatred for the Tower Cannon and the mission of reviving the 7 Dark States. Su Yiren, who was used to being a prodigy, would have her talent obliterated and become an ordinary spirit chi professional. This was worse than killing Su Yiren. Just as Su Yiren was about to think of a way to fight for Lin Yuan, Su Yiren heard Lin Yuan speak. "Your sacred source lifeform, Absolute Love Poppy, is very powerful. Among the 2 functions, 14th Millet Fruit has great development potential. Do you have any thoughts on developing 14th Millet Fruit?" When Su Yiren heard Lin Yuan's words, she looked at Lin Yuan with shock again. Lin Yuan's identity as a Creation Master did not surprise Su Yiren. However, an ordinary Creation Master would not be able to see through a Class 6 sacred source lifeform. How old was Lin Yuan? In order to see through the abilities of a Class 6 sacred source lifeform, one would need to be at least a Class 4 creation master. Even a Class 4 creation master would need to observe for a long time. It was impossible for them to be like Lin Yuan, who could see through it at a glance. Furthermore, he understood it so clearly. Based on common sense, Su Yiren would not even think of Lin Yuan as a Class 4 or 5 creation master. A 17 or 18-year-old Class 4 creation master had never appeared in the entire 7 dark states. Even Su Yiren's grandmother, the only Class 5 creation master in the 7 dark states. She had only become a Class 4 creation master in her 20s. Therefore, Su Yiren subconsciously thought that Lin Yuan's sacred source lifeform had the ability to detect. Su Yiren could not help but feel a little sorry for Lin Yuan. A sacred source lifeform with probing abilities was undoubtedly much weaker than a sacred source lifeform with offensive abilities or special abilities. Su Yiren knew that Lin Yuan would ask her questions. It meant that Lin Yuan planned to let her develop 14th millet fruit. 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1432. Su Yiren already had a plan for this. Su Yiren said, "Before the 7th Page War attacked the 7 dark states, I chose 14 spirit chi professionals and nurtured the 14 millet fruits. But under the attack of 7th Page War's Ash Squad, the 14 millet fruits were all killed before they could grow. Otherwise, absolute love poppy star level would at least be at the peak of 6 stars. It's not impossible for me to advance to 7 star. I won't be stuck at the initial 6-star stage. The entertainment of the Divine Wood Federation is more than singing and dancing, and the Iron Hammer Federation is very fond of the dancers of the Divine Wood Federation. The singers and actresses of the Divine Wood Federation are all popular superstars in the Iron Hammer Federation. I want to build all the 14 millet fruits that I have developed into song and dance girls and establish a love paradise in the cities of the Divine Wood Federation and the Iron Hammer Federation respectively. Every love hall has a 14th millet fruit. Under the transformation of the absolute love poppy, the 14 millet fruits have stunning beauty and graceful postures. With the 14th millet fruit song and dance, I was able to gather a large amount of love, allowing my absolute love poppy star rank to rise rapidly." Su Yiren paused. Then, he looked at Lin Yuan with burning eyes and said, "Come on. The world-shocking bet between the Radiance Federation and the Freedom Federation in 2 years will be witnessed by all living beings in the origin world. If we follow the method I mentioned just now, sir, I am confident that I can raise the absolute love poppy star level to 10 stars within 2 years. At that time, the absolute love poppy will be able to trigger a celestial phenomenon. I think I can follow by your side during the world-shocking gamble 2 years later and be your secret weapon." After saying that, Su Yiren added another sentence. "The 14th millet fruit absorbs love, but it won't create glass in the target's body. Don't worry, my lord. I won't do anything to those who devote their love to me." From Su Yiren's words, he knew that she had already guessed that he was a Radiance envoy. Lin Yuan wasn't one now, but he did plan to fight for it a year later. Lin Yuan did not confirm or deny Zol's words. If Su Yiren used this method to let the 14th millet fruit absorb her love, as long as it did not affect the people who had contributed their love, Su Yiren could do that. Currently, Lin Yuan's strongest expert was Bai Yang, whose strength had reached the peak of Immortal Realm. However, even though Bai Yang's power had reached the peak of Immortal Realm, he couldn't trigger a celestial phenomenon. The city in the sky indeed needed an expert who could trigger a celestial phenomenon. In the short term, this position was most suitable for Zol to fill. Lin Yuan nodded at Su Yiren. "In these 2 years, I will train you. Including the 4 myth I love framing poppies in your hands." With that, Lin Yuan tossed a heavy brocade pouch to Su Yiren. He stood up and said, "Right now, all of Oak City's local powers should be talking about us. We will make a trip to the Flourishing Prosperity Merchant Association first and wait for Oak City's Class 4 Creation Master Clan to contact us. Let me interrupt, I've been using a book-chasing app recently. I can read books in a cache and read them offline. Then we can return to the Underground Palace." Lin Yuan looked at Su Yiren. "From now on, it will depend on your ability to see how the High Wen Main Road develops. If you can help me unify the resources of the Agorwan continent, I don't mind helping you in the future. I think you understand what I mean. Lin Yuan's words caused Zhu Yiren's pupils to shrink. Zhu Yiren clenched her fists. After the shock, Zhu Yiren's eyes shone with the light of ecstasy and hope. It seemed that it was not impossible for her to take revenge. Lin Yuan's words were equivalent to giving Zhu Yiren a promise. As for whether she could capture it or not, it all depended on what she did. Zhu Yiren's heart was filled with enthusiasm. As they walked out of the tree fortress with Little Flower and Little Grass, Zhu Yiren gently opened the brocade pouch that Lin Yuan tossed over. After seeing what was in the brocade pouch, Zhu Yiren gently closed it. The corners of her mouth curled up into a joyful smile. Zhu Yiren knew that she had won the bet she had made when she was at the end of her rope. From now on, she would follow this young man in front of her. Together with this young man, she would stir up a storm in the 3 federations of the Agorwan continent. While Lin Yuan, Liu Jie, Ji Feng, and the others were heading to the flourishing Chamber of Commerce, there was a huge commotion in Oak City's ruling family, the Ding family. Ever since the Ding family head became a Class 4 creation master and dominated Oak City, he had never been disturbed by a member of the family when he was nurturing Fays in the breeding room. He was called out of the breeding room to report the situation. The Ding family head endured the displeasure in his heart when he was disturbed, but he also had to be cautious. The creation master was the core of a family, and the creation master himself had absolute authority in the family. If it was a small matter, the Ding family head, Ding Chengshuo, did not believe that anyone would dare to disturb him. As long as it was not a huge matter, the Elder Council could resolve it on their own. After leaving the breeding room, Ding Chengshuo went to the conference room and saw that everyone from the Ding family was already present. Ding Chengshuo frowned and went to his main seat. He took a sip of the fine wine that had been poured on the main seat. Ding Chengshuo asked the woman sitting on his right, "Mai, why did you ask little Chow to call me out of the breeding room in such a hurry? This time, I am in the breeding room to use the spiritual ingredients to concoct a type of spirit fluid that can evolve the dragon-horned mystic turtle bloodline. Fortunately, when little Chow disturbed me, I had not started concocting it. Otherwise, these spiritual ingredients that are worth close to 10 million Brahma coins would have been ruined. You know better than anyone else how rare some of the spiritual ingredients are. Why are you still so rash?" As Ding Chengshuo spoke, the youth who followed Ding Chengshuo into the conference room could not help but shrink his neck. The youth revealed an aggrieved expression. "I am just following my aunt's orders. No matter what, I can't be blamed for this matter, right?" The middle-aged woman called Mai let out a bitter smile and said, "Husband, if I can handle this matter, I will not disturb you." This matter was sent back by Ding Jian. "Let him explain the details to you." After hearing the middle-aged woman's words, Ding Chengshuo looked at Ding Jian, who was not far away from him with a grave expression. After hearing the middle-aged woman's words, Ding Chengshuo looked at Ding Jian, who was not far away from him with a grave expression. Ding Chengshuo waved at Ding Jian and asked, "Ding Jian, what happened? Could it be that someone dares to cause trouble in Oak City?" Ding Jian revealed an awkward expression when he heard that. He recalled how the black-clothed youth had killed the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's members without hesitation. Ding Jian could not help but shiver. In Ding Jian's opinion, Lin Yuan's actions could no longer be described as causing trouble. Lin Yuan had destroyed the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce's branch in the Deep Burn Federation and killed Lu Kuan of the Lu family's main family. This was equivalent to drawing the hatred of the Deep Burn Federation's Lu family to Oak City. ABC. Chapter 1433. The Hermit Lu family had several Class 4 creation masters. The Ding family was not willing to offend such a force. But when he thought of the flames that burned Song Dingjin and the others, even an Emperor-class expert like him could not detect the truth of the flames. It meant that the black-clothed youth's men were people that the Ding family could not afford to offend and were not worthy of offending. Ding Jian stood up and reported the situation to Ding Chengshuo as much as possible. "Patriarch, the Deep Frost Trade Association's tree fortress caught fire this afternoon. Ding Kai and I went to investigate the situation as usual. In the end, we found out that the fire was not a natural disaster but man-made. Hearing this, Ding Chungshuo frowned and was instantly displeased. Did the Deep Frost Trade Association's tree fortress need to be disturbed for such a small matter? Just as Ding Chungshuo was getting angrier and angrier, Ding Chungshuo continued. The Deep Frost Trade Association's tree fortress was burned by a black-clothed youth. That black-clothed youth servant has a combat power that Ding Kai and I can't sense. I speculate that the black-clothed youth servant is at least a peak Emperor-class expert. He might even be an Emperor-class expert. Hearing about peak Emperor-class and Emperor-class, Ding Chungshuo's breathing stopped. Ding Chungshuo was very clear about what such powerful combat power meant. Even if it was a peak Emperor-class expert, it meant that the black-clothed youth who burned the Deep Frost Trade Association's tree fortress. There was at least a Class 4 Creation Master or above. If the black-clothed youth's servant really had Emperor-class combat power, there must be a Class 4 Creation Master behind the black-clothed youth. According to the information Ding Chao told him on the way here, the black-clothed youth had black hair and black eyes and was from the Deep Lush Federation. This black-clothed youth must be a direct descendant of one of the Deep Lush Federation's top hidden aristocratic families. For a direct descendant of such an aristocratic family to openly make a move against the Deep Frost Trade Association, could it be that he had a conflict with the Lu family? Ding Chungshuo was going to find the Deep Frost Trade Association's vice president, Song Dingzhen, to ask about the situation. He wanted to see if Song Dingzhen knew the identity of the black-clothed youth. Ding Chungshuo was only a Class 4 Creation Master. He might be a Class 4 Creation Master and could enjoy the treatment of a Class 4 Creation Master and become a City Lord. However, Class 4 Elementary Creation Masters were always strapped for many things. Therefore, the Ding family urgently needed to cozy up to a mid-class Class 4 Creation Master clan. In this way, Ding Chungshuo would not only be able to receive pointers. The top battle prowess of the Ding family could also be improved by attaching themselves to powerful people. This kind of behavior was very common in the royal capital, Sacred Forest City. A pinnacle Class 4 Creation Master clan would have several low-class and mid-class Class 4 Creation Master clans as vassals. It was this relationship that made the relationships between the aristocratic families in Sacred Forest City so complicated. More often than not, the slightest move would affect the whole situation. Even if the Ding clan, which was far away in Oak City, were to cling on to an advanced Class 4 or Pinnacle Creation Master clan in Sacred Forest City. Due to the distance, it was very difficult for the Ding clan to obtain any practical benefits. It wasn't realistic for Sacred Forest City's high-grade or Pinnacle Class 4 Creation Masters to come to Oak City. But if he went to Sacred Forest City, he would have no choice but to abandon Oak City. Without a key figure like him, the Ding clan would definitely be unable to develop normally. Furthermore, he didn't need to pledge his loyalty to a reclusive aristocratic family in the Deep Brahmin Federation like he did to a 4-star advanced or Pinnacle Craftsman family in Sacred Forest City. Before Ding Chungshuo could give the order to bring Song Dingzhen here, he heard Ding Zhen speak. That black-robed youth gave the order to kill everyone in Deep Frost Merchant Guild, including Vice President Song Dingzhen. That youth's retainer also summoned 100 diamond fantasy breed insect species phase during the battle. Speaking up to this point, Ding Zhen swallowed a mouthful of saliva, shocking Ding Chungshuo. Over 100 diamond fantasy breed insect species phase. What did that mean? Forget about whether a person could comprehend hundreds of willpower runes. In order to nurture so many diamond fantasy breed insect species phase, a creation master below the Class 4 rank would probably be exhausted to death. That black-clothed youth and the Lu family behind the Deep Frost Merchant Guild were both from the Deep Brahmin Federation, yet they attacked without any qualms. Obviously, they didn't take the Lu family seriously. Ding Chungshuo couldn't help but feel tempted. However, before deciding to rope in this black-clothed youth, Ding Chungshuo still had to ask about some things. For example, the reason for the conflict between this black-clothed youth and the Deep Frost Merchant Guild. Ding Zhen, you have said so much. Do you know the reason for the conflict between the two sides? Our Ding family is in charge of Oak City, so we have to show our attitude on such matters and give an explanation to the various factions in Oak City. Ding Chungshuo didn't wish for Ding Zhen to say that it was all that black-clothed youth's fault. If that was the case, even if Ding Chungshuo made up his mind to rope in the black-clothed youth. It wouldn't be good to find a reason to put the blame on the Deep Frost Merchant Guild. Upon hearing that, Ding Jian replied with an indignant expression. For the past few years, the Deep Frost Merchant Guild has been using benefits that far exceed other merchant guilds to attract a large number of caravan members. In fact, the Deep Frost Merchant Guild has been killing the goose that lays the golden eggs. We have previously discussed that the number of caravans in Oak City has decreased by 1/3 over the past 2 years. This 1/3 of the caravans, excluding those that died in accidents, I'm afraid they have all been robbed and killed by the Deep Frost Merchant Guild. Upon hearing that, Ding Chungshuo was instantly enraged and slammed his palm on the table. At this moment, Ding Chungshuo didn't just want to put the blame on the Deep Frost Merchant Guild. Instead, he truly hated the Deep Frost Merchant Guild. The development and prosperity of a city didn't just depend on the number and standard of the creation masters in the city. The most important thing was the number of caravans that came and went. With the number of caravans decreasing by 1/3, it meant that Oak City's prosperity had decreased by 1/3. Ding Chungshuo would never allow such an action that was akin to bleeding his own artery. Originally, Ding Chungshuo hadn't thought of a reason to curry favor with that black-clothed youth. Now, Ding Chungshuo had an idea. Ding Chungshuo stood up and said, "The nature of this matter is vile. The nature of this matter is vile. I'll personally report to the Divine Wood Imperial Court about the Deep Frost Trade Association's actions in Oak City. The Divine Wood Royal Court will send someone down to investigate and see if the Deep Frost Merchant Guild's branches in other major cities have similar incidents. If there isn't, the Liu family will have to pay a huge sum of money to my Oak City for Song Dingzhen's personal decision. If there is, the Royal Court will probably not allow the Liu family to set up a merchant guild in the Divine Wood Federation again." Just as Ding Chungshuo made his decision and was preparing to find out where Lin Yuan was and personally meet him, Lin Yuan had already arrived at the entrance of the flourishing Merchant Guild's tree fortress. At this moment, Li Wan had just returned to the flourishing Merchant Guild. She was still recalling the scene of Lin Yuan giving the order to exterminate the Deep Frost Merchant Guild. It could be said that the biggest beneficiary of Lin Yuan's action of exterminating the Deep Frost Merchant Guild was Li Wan. Chapter 1434. Li Wan looked at the old man beside her and said, "Elder Duan, your previous suggestion was not bad. I have already decided to find someone to rely on for the flourishing Chamber of Commerce." Before the old man beside Li Wan could speak, a middle-aged man walked into the room and bowed to Li Wan and Elder Duan. "President, Vice President, the black-haired, black-eyed youth that you asked me to pay attention to has come to our Chamber of Commerce again. But this time, when that black-haired, black-eyed youth left, there were 2 more people, one big and one small. But this time, when that black-haired, black-eyed youth left, there were 2 more people with him, one big and one small." When Elder Duan saw this, he hurriedly patted Li Wan's back. After coughing for a while, Li Wan wanted to stand up and violently coughed. After coughing for a while and swallowing the fishy taste in her throat, Li Wan hurriedly walked downstairs to welcome Lin Yuan. Just as Li Wan walked out of the president's office, she bumped into a figure standing outside the door. The moment she bumped into that embrace, Li Wan smelled a fresh scent. She heard a powerful heartbeat. Li Wan subconsciously retreated, but this panicked retreat caused Li Wan to lose her center of gravity. Just as Li Wan thought she was going to fall, a thin layer of sand supported her falling body. From start to finish, the figure that she bumped into was standing there leisurely with an exceptionally calm expression. After she steadied herself, Li Wan heard a clear and pleasant voice ring in her ears. "President Li Wan, are you going out for something? When I was downstairs, the attendant at the door told me to come directly to the president's office on the 7th floor to find you." When Li Wan heard this, she thought of the fresh scent and the powerful heartbeat. For some reason, Li Wan's cheeks had a faint blush. Li Wan forced herself to calm down and said, "Please come in. Please come in. I was just about to welcome you down there." Li Wan ordered the middle-aged man who had just entered the room to report to her. "Go and bring some high-quality fruits over. Also, Go to the underground level of the tree castle and bring out the best wine from the Oak City branch for our esteemed guests to enjoy. Li Wan knew that Lin Yuan did not drink wine, and the only one who drank wine was the middle-aged man beside Lin Yuan. Even so, Li Wan was still willing to take out a jar of the best wine. It was to show Lin Yuan how much importance he attached to him. The middle-aged man replied, "Guild leader, I'll make the necessary preparations right away." As he spoke, the middle-aged man could not help but glance at Su Iran. But it was this glance that caused the middle-aged man to lose his composure. His eyes glazed over, and his face flushed red. The middle-aged man found it hard to imagine that such a stunning beauty existed in this world. Li Wan saw the middle-aged man's loss of composure, and she coughed in displeasure. Then, he nudged the middle-aged man with his palm, causing the middle-aged man to come back to his senses. The middle-aged man who refocused had an awkward expression. He hurriedly left to prepare fruits and wine according to Li Wan's orders. Despite the awkwardness, the middle-aged man could not help but glance at Su Iran before he left. At first, Li Wan's attention was on Lin Yuan. When the middle-aged man lost his composure, Li Wan also looked at Su Iran curiously. This middle-aged man had always been working beside him and had always been dependable. Li Wan could not think of any reason that would cause this middle-aged man to lose his composure. But when Li Wan's gaze landed on Su Iran, she instantly felt her face blush and her heart palpitate. This feeling seemed to cause one to feel a beautiful longing from the bottom of one's heart. Then, one would be immersed in this beautiful longing indefinitely. This kind of blushing and palpitating longing made Li Wan think of Lin Yuan's fresh aura and strong heartbeat. Immediately after, Li Wan's face showed a clear red color again. This red stayed on Li Wan's face and did not fade. Su Iran saw this and looked at Li Wan with a playful gaze. Li Wan, who was looking at Su Iran, felt that her thoughts had been seen through. She took a step back in panic. Su Iran's absolute love poppy had a weakness for the same sex. That is, the love aroused by the absolute love poppy could be transferred under certain coincidental circumstances. Li Wan obviously had thoughts about Lin Yuan, and after being attracted by the absolute love poppy, those thoughts were magnified. It transformed into a deep sense of love. Of course, this could only happen if Su Iran did not activate the sacred source lifeform, the absolute love poppy. If Su Iran activated the absolute love poppy, Li Wan's body would instantly produce love desire glaze. There would be no chance for feelings to be transferred. Su Iran let out a soft chuckle. Under the influence of the absolute love poppy, love appeared easily. But this deep Enlightenment Federation woman's love for Lin Yuan was destined to end without a trace. It was not that Su Iran looked down on the woman in front of her, but this woman's status was too different from Lin Yuan's. If Lin Yuan was really a young master of the Deep Enlightenment Federation's hidden grand family, Li Wan might even end up with Lin Yuan. But Lin Yuan was not a young master of the Deep Enlightenment Federation's hidden grand family like Li Wan thought. He was a young master of the Radiance Federation who could casually use a sacred source lifeform to reward others. Su Iran knew that she could not match up to such a status. Liu Jie saw that Li Wan's gaze was fixed on Lin Yuan and subconsciously took a step forward. She stood in front of Lin Yuan and blocked Li Wan's gaze at Lin Yuan. Liu Jie said to Li Wan, "President Li, our young master is not here to reminisce." Li Wan heard this and immediately came to her senses. Then, Li Wan's expression became somewhat complicated. Li Wan forced herself to calm down and said, "It just so happens that I have something to discuss with Lin Yuan. It just so happens that I also have something to discuss with Lin Yuan. Let's talk inside." Su Iran said forcefully, "If there's anything, just talk to me. If you have anything to say later, just talk to me directly. I also have something to discuss with you on behalf of the young master." On the way to the flourishing Chamber of Commerce, Su Iran had already asked for Lin Yuan's permission. She had taken over the Divine Wood Federation and Iron Hammer Federation's matters. After that, Su Iran and Li Wan interacted much more than Lin Yuan and Li Wan. Thus, it was undoubtedly the most suitable for Su Iran to talk to Li Wan. Lin Yuan was also happy to be free and listen from the side. Li Wan's gaze had previously been on Su Yiren, and she had thought that Su Yiren was like Lin Yuan, a young mistress of some hidden grand family. After all, Su Yiren did not have the temperament of a servant. Li Wan recognized the purple caltrop crystal embedded in Su Yiren's spirit chi clothing. Purple caltrop crystals were only produced in Class 3 and above underground dimensional rifts. In Class 3 underground dimensional rifts, there were already Class 5 dimensional lifeforms that were equivalent to diamond phase. Purple caltrop crystals were very rare in Class 3 underground dimensional rifts. It was only in the Class 4 underground dimensional rift that the production would increase. 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1435. Su Yiren's spirit chi clothing had used at least 2,000 purple caltrop crystals. Such a large number of purple caltrop crystals could not have been collected from the Class 3 underground dimensional rift. Although Li Wan could not tell what the clock-shaped earrings on Su Yiren's ears were made of. Just based on the spirit chi clothing embedded with purple caltrop crystals, it was definitely worth more than 12 million deep Brahmin dollars. The price of such luxurious clothing was even more expensive than the spirit chi clothing that Lin Yuan was wearing and the sea-patterned incense burner pendant. However, a person wearing such clothing actually called herself Lin Yuan's maidservant. This made Li Wan have a new guess about Lin Yuan's identity after she saw how he had ordered experts to kill the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. All along, Li Wan had thought that wearing clothing only depends on one's liking and not the price was just a pretentious statement. Even a pinnacle Class 4 creation master wouldn't be able to do this when wearing it. But now, Li Wan believed it. The example was right in front of Li Wan, and she had no choice but to believe it. Even the spirit chi clothing that her subordinates were wearing was worth 10 million deep Brahmin dollars. What kind of spirit chi clothing could Lin Yuan not wear? Elder Duan had been waiting at the door of the president's office. After the middle-aged man brought the aged wine and spirit fruits, Elder Duan received them. He was afraid that the middle-aged man would lose his composure in front of Su Yiren again, so he did not let him enter the room. Li Wan took the spirit fruits on the table and personally squeezed the juice for Lin Yuan and the others. On Elder Duan's side, he helped Ji Feng open the top-aged wine of the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce. As a result, when the aged wine was opened, there was a bit of pungent wine smell. Ji Feng said, "This aged wine should have been brewed for at least 80 years. This aged wine should have been brewed for at least 80 years. Using sour platinum spirit fruits and allowing them to fully ferment. Using the blood and marrow of a fantasy breed dragon species Fey to soak the tiger bones of a fantasy breed tiger species Fey together to extract all the odor in the tiger bones. The odor in the tiger bones and the fishy smell in the dragon bones collide, cleverly removing the sourness in the spirit fruits. The idea of this winemaker is indeed ingenious. Just with this idea, the wine will definitely be a good one. It was really good to advertise. It was worth installing. It was even supported on Android and Apple phones." Ji Feng's words caused Li Wan and Elder Duan to feel numb. The last time Ji Feng drank the elephant bone wine, he knew the ingredients after just one sip. This had already shocked Li Wan and Old Duan. Now, Ji Feng was able to accurately describe the essence of this aged wine just by the fragrance of the opened jar. This meant that Ji Feng could no longer be defined as a wine connoisseur. To be able to stretch out his tongue like this, who knew how many peerless wines he had drunk and how many spiritual ingredients he had tasted? With just a whiff, one could tell the flavor of the wine from the scent of the wine. From the details, Li Wan understood how unfathomable Lin Yuan's background was. Li Wan decided not to hide her goal anymore. Li Wan looked at Su Yiren, her tone unusually serious. "On behalf of the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce, I would like to cooperate with you. Previously, Lin Yuan proposed to me the intention to cooperate deeply, but I don't know why he left in a hurry after proposing it. I didn't have the time to finalize the cooperation." When Su Yiren heard this, she felt that Li Wan was really lucky. Lin Yuan wanting to cooperate with Li Wan was definitely a blessing for the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce. But when Li Wan did not grasp the opportunity at the start, she actually had the luck of waiting for the second opportunity to come knocking on her door. It was enough to see Li Wan's luck. However, Su Yiren did not agree with Li Wan's words about a deep cooperation. Su Yiren spoke in a calm tone. President Li should know that the term deep cooperation is not suitable for our young master. Cooperation is when both sides stand on equal footing, mutually beneficial, and create value together. Our young master's help to the flourishing Chamber of Commerce is visible. But I really cannot think of any tangible benefits that the flourishing Chamber of Commerce can bring to our young master. If President Li only wants to continue the discussion in the form of cooperation, then I think there is no need for us to waste our breath here. There are hundreds of chambers of commerce in the Deep Lavender Federation. The strong chambers of commerce are like dragons in the clouds, and the weak chambers of commerce are like ants on the ground. As long as our young master raises his hand, the ants on the ground can quickly rise and suppress the dragons on the ground. The pair of bronze epic object holding walnuts earlier is enough to prove that what I said is true. Therefore, President Li needs to show sincerity that can move me before we can continue the discussion. Su Yiren's tone was calm, but the meaning in her words was unusually strong. Every sentence pointed out the crux of the matter, leaving Li Wan with no way to retreat. She could only face the problem directly. On the way here, Su Yiren had specifically asked Lin Yuan about the contents of the transaction with the flourishing Chamber of Commerce. However, Su Yiren did not know that Lin Yuan had dealt with the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce. Su Yiren had only used the little information she had about the transaction with the flourishing Chamber of Commerce as a bargaining chip to force Li Wan to this point in the negotiation. This showed Lin Yuan how powerful Su Yiren was. Originally, he was here to talk about cooperation. However, after Li Wan had expressed the intention to cooperate, Su Yiren had immediately made adjustments to the plan. She had wanted to ensure the greatest benefits for her side. Just from this point alone, it could be seen that Su Yiren's talent in internal affairs was extraordinary. However, Lin Yuan was not sure if she could compare to Wen Yu. After all, the two were good at different things. Wen Yu was good at gathering information, organizing information, and coordinating resources. Zoel, on the other hand, excelled in diplomacy. Su Yiren's words had clearly provoked Li Wan's pride. Li Wan had just developed a strong sense of love for Lin Yuan. Su Yiren's words were basically telling Li Wan the distance between her and Lin Yuan. More than once, Li Wan wanted to slam the table and leave the president's office. But when she thought of the situation of flourishing Chamber of Commerce and her father's dying wish, Li Wan forced herself to calm down. Li Wan said after a series of violent coughs, "The flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce is not a first-rate Chamber of Commerce. What is useful to you is only the function of the Chamber of Commerce. Either you want to invest in the flourishing Chamber of Commerce and are interested in the shares of the flourishing Chamber of Commerce. No matter which of these 2 points you value, I can only trade shares." When she said this, Li Wan had a conflicted expression on her face. Su Yiren did not disturb Li Wan. Instead, she allowed Li Wan to think to her heart's content. In the end, Li Wan took a deep look at Lin Yuan and then said to Su Yiren, "Most of the shares of the flourishing Chamber of Commerce are in the hands of the elders of the Li family. I might be the president of the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce, but I only have 40% of the shares. I can give you all 40% of the shares without holding anything back. But I have 2 requests. 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1436. At this point, Li Wan's tone became firm. Firstly, I want to keep the management rights of the flourishing Prosperity Merchant Company. Secondly, I want to seek your help to gather the scattered shares of the flourishing Prosperity Merchant Company. After that, I can give you another 9% of the remaining 60%. Su Yiren did not immediately make a decision. Instead, she looked at Lin Yuan. It was not that Su Yiren could not make a decision, but this matter involved the internal struggle of the Li family. Whether she wanted to get involved in this mess was up to Lin Yuan. Su Yiren saw Lin Yuan reveal a trusting smile at her. Su Yiren immediately understood that Lin Yuan wanted her to make the decision for this transaction. Seeing Lin Yuan's smile, Su Yiren, who had always been able to control people with love and charm, suddenly felt a little dazed. Su Yiren had never properly observed Lin Yuan before. Now, she realized that Lin Yuan's appearance was not inferior to hers. Looking at him now, she realized that Lin Yuan's appearance was not inferior to hers. Moreover, in terms of bone structure, she was inferior to Lin Yuan. Damn, I can contract the sacred source lifeform, absolute love poppy. I can't even compare to Lin Yuan. Is Lin Yuan the reincarnation of an old succubus from the abyss world? While muttering to herself about Lin Yuan's appearance, Su Yiren looked at Li Wan and said, I agree to your request. Before this, our young master will hold 40% of the Flourishing Prosperity Merchant Company's shares. You will be the controller of the Flourishing Prosperity Merchant Company. After this, our young master will hold 49% of the Flourishing Prosperity Merchant Company's shares. The three major federations of the Awesomeness continent are constantly fighting, and the bandits are running rampant. It is said that there are many paths in troubled times, but your Flourishing Prosperity Merchant Company, or rather, you, have chosen the most correct path. To be honest, I am a little envious of your luck. Su Yiren said this from the bottom of her heart. If she had hesitated and missed the Celestial Council, would she have a second chance to join the Celestial Council? Li Wan did not understand why Su Yiren said she was lucky. However, Li Wan could hear a strong confidence in Su Yiren's words. She did not care about the Divine Wood Federation, Deep Brahmin Federation, or Iron Hammer Federation. This strong confidence made Li Wan feel like she saw a giant beast that could easily trample over the Divine Wood Federation, Deep Brahmin Federation, and Iron Hammer Federation. Suddenly, Li Wan thought of the conflict between Lin Yuan and the Lu family. Li Wan said worriedly, the Lu family behind the Deep Frost Chamber of Commerce is much more powerful than our Li family. If the Lu family knows that our Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce has attached itself to you, they will definitely retaliate against us. The warriors of the Li family are no match for the Lu family. What do you think we should do? Li Wan knew that Lin Yuan had experts in his hands. If this battle was fought in one place, Li Wan would not fear the revenge of the Lu family at all. However, the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce had 47 branches in the Divine Wood Federation and the Iron Hammer Federation. As long as the Lu family made a move on any of the branches of the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce for the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce, this was an unbearable loss. In any case, he had already attached himself to Lin Yuan and was facing an unsolvable problem. Li Wan straightforwardly told Lin Yuan and asked for his help. Su Yiren heard Li Wan's concerns and didn't say anything. Su Yiren did not know what had happened between Lin Yuan and the Lu family. As a decision-maker, Su Yiren would not easily make a decision on something she was not clear about. Su Yiren did not think that there were any local factions on the Agorwan continent that could compare to Lin Yuan. Looking at Li Wan's worried expression, Lin Yuan spoke. As long as President Li Wan and Elder Duan do not leak the news of the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce attaching itself to me, how would outsiders know? Lin Yuan's words made Li Wan's eyes light up. In Li Wan's understanding, Lin Yuan would definitely give the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce his mark if he supported it. However, Lin Yuan did not do so. Instead, he chose to push the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce forward and be a secret promoter. As the president of the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce, she could still stand at the forefront. On the surface, all the glory that the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce obtained belonged to the Li family. For the Li family of the middle and lower class of the Deep Lush Federation, glory was something that they pursued even in their dreams. Lin Yuan's words made Li Wan's heart completely calm. As long as the Li family could enjoy glory, their status in the Deep Lush Federation would continue to rise. On the contrary, Li Wan did not care about material things. Now that Li Wan had finished talking with Lin Yuan, she needed to talk with him. Facing the resources that Lin Yuan had poured into the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce, what price should the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce use in exchange? In this transaction that involved a large amount of shares, the distribution of benefits must be clearly discussed in advance. Lin Yuan now had 40% of the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce's shares, and he would have 49% in the future. This meant that nearly half of the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce's profits would be given to Lin Yuan. If Lin Yuan poured too little resources into the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce, the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce would suffer a huge loss. If Lin Yuan poured too much resources into the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce, the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce would take advantage. Whether it was taking advantage or suffering losses, it would affect the stability of the cooperation. Therefore, the best way to solve this situation was for Lin Yuan to pour resources into the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce every time. The flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce would buy it at a certain price. This method was equivalent to the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce using 40% or 49% of the shares to buy the qualifications for Lin Yuan to pour resources into the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce. In such a situation, if the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce wanted to benefit, it had to obtain a large amount of resources from Lin Yuan. Li Wan chose this transaction method to see how much resources Lin Yuan would pour into the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce in the future. To what extent was he going to do for the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce? Upon hearing this, Lin Yuan looked at Li Wan with admiration. Since Li Wan was meticulous in doing things, Lin Yuan naturally wouldn't be stingy. Su Yiren listened to Li Wan's words while looking at Lin Yuan's expression. Su Yiren knew that Li Wan had made an excellent decision after making a correct choice. In the future, the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce was destined to leap from an ant to a dragon above the clouds in the Divine Wood Federation and the Iron Hammer Federation. The small book booth that the book friends used previous lecture shooting now that they were basically using the Qianqian Apex Kex. At that moment, Su Yiren and Li Wan heard Lin Yuan speak. Until now, I still don't know the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce's main business direction. You can introduce it to me, President Li Wan. Upon hearing this, Li Wan was delighted. She knew that Lin Yuan was going to pour resources into the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce. The flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce's current business direction was animal fur, fine spirit plants, spirit fruits, fine wine, metal ores, and a small number of high-quality fays. The flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce's business direction had always been conventional and didn't have any outstanding aspects. Due to the lack of creation master resources in the Li family, the proportion of high-quality fays was very small. The small number of high-quality fays was used by Li Wan to curry favor with old customers. Chapter 1437. But even so, there were still many old customers who felt that the goods of flourishing Fan Chamber of Commerce were not complete and the quality was not high. Li Wan desperately wanted to change the situation of flourishing Chamber of Commerce. Thus, Li Wan answered Lin Yuan's question greedily. Young Master Lin, our flourishing Chamber of Commerce can buy any kind of goods and sell them on the shelves. With the success of this auction, I plan to hold regular flourishing auctions in each branch. Therefore, even if it's some strange materials, my flourishing Chamber of Commerce can still digest them. As Li Wan spoke, she specifically mentioned the Sheng Fan auction. The purpose was to hint to Lin Yuan that he could provide more premium resources when providing resources. Lin Yuan nodded in response. Lin Yuan was not afraid of Li Wan's ambitions. On the contrary, the more ambitious Li Wan was, the more Lin Yuan admired her. If Li Wan behaved like a salted fish. On the contrary, Lin Yuan had to reconsider whether he should continue to cooperate with the flourishing Chamber of Commerce. I won't provide too many supplies to flourishing Chamber of Commerce. Hearing Lin Yuan say this, Li Wan and Elder Duan's hopeful gazes immediately dimmed. Before Li Wan and Elder Duan could smile bitterly in disappointment, Lin Yuan continued speaking. I can send a low-class Class 4 Creation Master to be stationed in Oak City's Deep Enlightenment Flourishing Chamber of Commerce. At the same time, assign 10 Pinnacle Class 3 Creation Masters to customize the spirit fluids according to the requirements of the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce. Provide 10 pairs of bronze epic walnuts, 200 bronze flawless phase, and 5 bronze epic phase every month. As for the other trivial materials, I won't provide them to the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce. Let Flourishing Chamber of Commerce deal with it themselves. Every time Lin Yuan spoke, Li Wan and Elder Duan's eyes would widen. Both of them were shocked by Lin Yuan's words. Send a Class 4 primary creation master to Oak City's Flourishing Chamber of Commerce branch to oversee it. It should be known that the leader of Oak City was also the patriarch of the Ding clan. He was just a low-class Class 4 creation master. As long as the Class 4 low-level creation master Lin Sent joined the Divinewood Federation and was certified in the Divinewood Royal Court, the creation master would be able to enter the Divinewood Federation. A dozen years was enough to create a city as prosperous as Oak City. Furthermore, Lin Yuan didn't just send a low-class Class 4 creation master to the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce. There were also 10 pinnacle Class 3 creation masters who worked for the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce. In Oak City, the Ding family didn't even have 12 Class 3 creation master clans. There was only one pinnacle Class 3 creation master clan. Just the infusion of Class 3 creation master resources was something that the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce couldn't afford no matter how much money they had. One primary Class 4 creation master and 10 pinnacle Class 3 creation masters might not be comparable to the Li family in terms of pinnacle creation masters, but the Li family wasn't a match for them. The Li clan currently had 2 mid-class Class 4 creation masters and 1 low-class Class 4 creation master. However, the Li family only had 5 Class 3 creation masters. In terms of the total number of creation masters, it was almost the same as the number of creation master resources that Lin Yuan had poured in. Each of the 200 bronze flawless phase was qualified to appear in the Flourishing Fan Auction. As for the 10 pairs of bronze epic object storing walnuts and the 5 bronze epic phase, they were resources of this level. Only high-grade Class 4 creation masters and above could nurture them. Lin Yuan was not talking about providing this quantity of bronze epic walnuts and phase. Instead, it would be provided once a month. This meant that Lin Yuan had the resources of a high-grade Class 4 creation master or above. Moreover, Lin Yuan could casually instruct Class 4 creation masters and above to work. These were all things that the Li family didn't have. Such resources could only be allocated by Class 4 creation masters and above, and it was enough for the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce to reach a higher level. Li Wan did not care about Lin Yuan's suggestion that the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce would no longer be able to provide some miscellaneous supplies. With so many good things, even if Lin Yuan gave those trivial things to Li Wan, she wouldn't be interested in them. Lin Yuan had chosen to pour these resources into the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce every month after careful consideration. If Lin Yuan wanted to, he could provide the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce with hundreds of bronze epic phase every day. However, doing so would shock Li Wan first. If Li Wan dared to reveal such a huge amount of resources, the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce would immediately become the target of the Divine Wood, Deep Brahmin, and Iron Hammer federations. With such resources, the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce would be dazzling but not eye-catching. While accelerating the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce's development, it would also help with the construction of Su Yiren's 14 love workshops. After Master Hong Shun helped Zhong Xiaobai, Xin Ying, Tan Ran, and Lu Pinru enhance their phase in the Return from Faraway Manor. Then, he started to nurture plant phase in the Underground Palace. However, plant phase often had a very long growth cycle. Therefore, Master Hong Shun had been idle in the Return from Faraway Manor for nearly a month. Previously, Master Hong Shun's soul had been injured and couldn't do anything. As a result, Master Hong Shun hated this idle state. Previously, when Lin Yuan returned to the Return from Faraway Manor, Master Hong Shun had been chasing behind him. He wanted Lin Yuan to assign tasks to him. Master Hong Shun had used the Law Rune and issued an allegiance oath to Lin Yuan. He was someone that Lin Yuan could trust 100%. Therefore, he arranged for Master Hong Shun to be in the Oak City Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce's branch. Firstly, he could find something for Master Hong Shun to do. Secondly, He could also arrange for someone to be by Li Yuan's side. This would allow Lin Yuan to have a precise grasp of the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce's situation. As for the 10 pinnacle Class 3 creation masters that Lin Yuan arranged, they were all 100 questions beasts from the 100 questions beast legion. He had already taught the 100 questions beasts that he had previously adopted. Each of them was a pinnacle Class 3 creation master. In addition, Genius was now at Diamond and had the energy to teach the new 100 questions beasts. Therefore, the number of members in the 100 questions beast legion would only increase in the future. Sending 100 questions beasts to serve the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce would not affect Lin Yuan's accumulation of resources. As for the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce's dividends, Lin Yuan didn't plan to ask for Brahmin coins. Instead, he planned to exchange for a large number of the Divine Wood Federation's unique production-type Fey plants. He also wanted to exchange for rare minerals that were relatively rare in the Radiance Federation. These were the resources that could truly be called strategic reserves. Speaking of this, Lin Yuan suddenly thought of something. Lin Yuan wanted to obtain a large number of object-holding walnuts that could freely travel to and from the Divine Wood Federation through the spatial tunnel. He also needed some object-holding walnut trees that were older. Therefore, Lin Yuan said to Li Wn, President Li Wn, the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce should have plenty of common plant phase like the object-holding walnut trees. I want 500 object-holding walnut trees that are more than 300 years old. Upon hearing that, Li Wn immediately said, Young Master Lin, I will immediately ask Elder Duan to bring all the object-holding walnut trees that are more than 300 years old to you. 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1438. Currently, Oak City's flourishing Chamber of Commerce has more than 600 walnut trees that are more than 300 years old. There seem to be more than 20 walnut trees that are more than 500 years old. These 20 or so walnut trees that are more than 500 years old have all produced walnuts. If these walnuts are upgraded to Bronze Epic, the walnuts produced will be about 2/5 larger than the walnuts produced by 300-year-old walnut trees. Although they are both of Bronze Epic quality, the walnuts produced by a 500-year-old walnut tree are worth at least 5 million Brahmin coins more than a 300-year-old walnut tree. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan's eyes lit up. If he upgraded these 20-odd 500-year-old walnut trees to Bronze Epic, he would be able to harvest at least 1,200 pairs of Bronze Epic walnuts. With the harvest of 1,200 pairs of Bronze Epic walnuts, Lin Feng had a huge harvest. For a long time, he would not need to nurture the Bronze Epic walnut tree. These Bronze Epic walnut trees could directly raise the 100 Questions Beast Army to the Diamond grade. It was used to increase the storage of spatial attribute spirit materials. Just as Elder Duan was about to prepare a walnut tree for Lin Yuan, someone knocked on the VIP room's door. The middle-aged man who had been staring at Su Yiren walked in again. After bowing to Lin Yuan and the others, he spoke softly to Li Wan. President, the patriarch of the Ding family, Ding Chengshuo, says that he wishes to see young Master Lin. The middle-aged man's tone was filled with surprise. In the middle-aged man's memory, Ding Chengshuo didn't even attend the ribbon-cutting ceremony for the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce's branch in Oak City. But now, he had taken the initiative to visit a young man. Moreover, Ding Chengshuo did not take the initiative to come up after the waiter let him pass. He even insisted that he come up to inform them. It was enough to show how humble Ding Chengshuo was. Li Wan could not decide on a matter like this. Li Wan looked at Lin Yuan, waiting to see what Lin Yuan would decide. In fact, Li Guan did not want Lin Yuan to meet Ding Chengshuo in her heart. If Lin Yuan and Ding Chengshuo negotiated a collaboration, then Lin Yuan's emphasis on the flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce would undoubtedly decrease a lot. In Oak City, the power of the Ding clan was something that no other power could compare to. The Ding family could do many things for Lin Yuan that the flourishing Chamber of Commerce couldn't. Although Lin Yuan had long known that Ding Chengshuo would visit him, he was not interested in his visit. However, he had just begun to plan in the Divine Wood Federation. Building a good relationship with Ding Chengshuo, the Lord of Oak City, would only be beneficial to his future plans. Ding Chungshuo was a Class 4 creation master recognized by the Divine Wood Royal Court. Class 4 creation masters that were recognized by the Divine Wood Imperial Court would automatically join the Divine Wood Council and become a member of the council. Therefore, Ding Chungshuo could be considered an official. If there was anything in the future, he would have to contact the Divine Wood Federation officials. Taking Ding Chungshuo's path was much more stable than taking Zhen Li's. Lin Yuan stood up and spoke to Li Wan. President Li, we've finished our discussion. Just give me those walnut trees before I leave. Su Yiren will send you the follow-up supplies. Since President Li and I have a relationship, it's inconvenient for outsiders to know. President Li, why don't you specially arrange a reception room for me to meet Ding Chungshuo? Upon seeing Lin Yuan stand up, Liu Jie and Jifeng also prepared to get up. At that moment, they heard Lin Yuan speak. Big brother Liu, Jifeng, you two stay here with Xiao Hua. Xiao Cao, drink more juice. Then call the Sincere Yi Caravan's captain, Mr. Zhao, over. After that, let the Sincere Yi Caravan be affiliated with the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce. Our conflict with the Liu family started because of the Sincere Yi Caravan. If the Liu family wants revenge, they will find the Sincere Yi Caravan immediately. At that time, the people I arranged in the Sincere Yi Caravan will solve the Liu family's problem. Upon hearing that, Liu Jie nodded and said after thinking for a while, Lin Yuan, leave the Sincere Yi Caravan's matters to me. Yuan, leave the Sincere Yi Caravan's matters to me. You don't have to worry about it. I think President Li Wan will be more willing to help the Chang'e merchant team in the Flourishing Prosperity Chamber of Commerce than to go out and deliver supplies. In Liu Jie's heart, Li Wan was not reliable. Even if Su Yiren kept an eye on Li Wan, it was hard to guarantee that Li Wan would not have strange thoughts. There were more than 100 people in the Chang'e trade caravan, and it was hard to predict people's minds. Mr. Zhao was grateful to Lin Yuan, but it didn't mean that everyone would be grateful to Lin Yuan. He might as well place the people from the Sincere Yi Caravan in the Flourishing Chamber of Commerce. At that time, the two of them could supervise each other. This kind of supervision could guarantee that the people's hearts wouldn't change. Hearing this, Li Wan felt conflicted. From the bottom of his heart, he was unwilling to take in the Chang'e merchant caravan. But Li Wan was in no position to refute such a suggestion. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan smiled and said to Liu Jie, Brother Liu, please take care of the Chang'e caravan. Just in time to wait for me to finish my business here. We'll go back tonight. There's only a month left. I should go into seclusion to improve myself. Upon hearing that, Liu Jie immediately thought of the Radiance 100 sequence selection that would start in less than a month. Liu Jie's expression became serious, and he said to Lin Yuan with an abnormally cautious tone, Lin Yuan, with so many factions gathered this time, there will definitely be people who want to play some tricks. When that time comes, we'll have to rely on you and Gao Feng to hold the fort. Su Yiren, Li Wan, and Elder Duan did not know what Lin Yuan and Liu Jie were talking about. However, the three of them knew that Lin Yuan would leave Oak City tonight. Li Wan was very reluctant, while Su Yiren was looking forward to it. Su Yiren had found hope and was ready to go all out. Therefore, Su Yiren was very curious about where Lin Yuan would stay in the Divine Wood Federation. Upon hearing Liu Jie's words, Lin Yuan's expression became serious. He knew very well what Liu Jie's words meant. The Radiance Federation's Majesty and the Freedom Federation's Majesty would fight through the astronomical phenomenon. 2 years later, the two major federations would agree to carry out a shocking gamble. During the Radiance 100 sequence selection, the Freedom Federation's envoys would head to the Radiance Federation to observe the ceremony. Before the conflict, the Freedom Federation's envoys might not cause trouble. However, the conflict had already occurred, and the Radiance Federation and the Freedom Federation had completely fallen out. The Freedom Federation's envoys would definitely cause trouble for the Radiance Federation during the Radiance 100 sequence selection. By then, any small conflict between the two federations would implicate the faces of the two major federations. End of this chapter.